places. And when it was all said and done, that's all they needed, because the offense here still revolves around Patrick Mahomes. Welcome in to the very first Sports Radio 810 Chiefs postgame show of the 2021 season. It is presented by the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman. You can get in touch with the show in a whole variety of ways. You can call us 913-381-810. And either now or very, very soon, we'll have the video feed up all across our various social platforms, the Sports Radio 810 Facebook, Twitter, and, the Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube channels. You can also get in touch via Twitter if you'd like. You can tweet at me, at JB Brisco. Did I say that I'm Joshua Brisco at any point over the course of this? That's my name. Maybe I've only said it once and maybe I've said it twice, but I am Joshua Brisco. Beers McFly is running the show. Rudy Salazar is running around and making sure that we're going to be able to bring you everything that we will be bringing you over the next couple of hours. We'll hear from whoever the Chiefs bring up to the podium. We'll hear from Kevin Stefanski at some point. And this will, to be honest on the front end here, like the Chiefs won, and that's great. That's the result that we were looking for, and ultimately, they're 1-0. The Bills lost to the Steelers today. The Titans got crumpled by the Cardinals today. The Ravens play tomorrow night. Wait, or they play tonight? I knew they were a primetime game. What's Sunday Night Football? What's Monday Night Football? That's how focused, that's how locked in I am on this game, is I have completely forgotten what the primetime games are. You can also hear Sunday Night Football over on ESPN Kansas City, by the way, later on this evening. But any victory that you can scrounge up in the NFL is a great one to have. And the Browns are a really good football team. That much should be evident. Tonight is Bears at Rams. Tomorrow, I was correct, is Ravens at Raiders. That Monday Night Football game is going to be great. And also, right here on Sports Radio 810. If you can get a victory, you shouldn't apologize for it. And this isn't even one of those games where you're like, oh, that's an ugly victory. Because that, for me, usually means that one side or the other didn't actually do the things that they do best. And that's not fair for this game, because the Chiefs offense, it got its toe stubbed a little bit in the first half. 10 points in the first half. How dare they? But then you get the touchdown in one play, fire-breathing dragon in outer space version of this offense that we all love so much. Which, by the way, just since we're here, let me just say this. Please do enjoy that as much as you can. I saw somebody tweeted this, and I'll just steal it from them. You are watching three Hall of Famers play offense together, in addition to having a future Hall of Famer head coach that is building this offense for them. This is not something that you are going to get to see very often anywhere in the world, in the history of sports. This is an incredible unit with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, under Andy Reid, with Eric Bieniemy, all the pieces they have. Don't ever lose sight of how amazing what you're watching offensively is. So there's that whole world, right? This is an incredible offense that ultimately, whenever it was behind the eight ball a little bit, absolutely took over and was the version of the Chiefs offense that they absolutely had to be because they were playing from behind. It's also okay to acknowledge the other side of the coin here. What went wrong to get you to this point? I think clearly of the guys who are inactive today, Tyrann Mathieu is the biggest one, and he should be back next week. It sounded like he was very, very close to playing today. He was out there working with Rick Burkholder, was going through warm-ups. Basically, every Chiefs reporter who was out there at the stadium who was tweeting about Mathieu warming up said he looked like a guy who was going to play in this game. And he didn't, because he hasn't played football in 2 weeks or practiced football in 2 weeks. You don't want to put a guy, and I don't know if any of this is the direct ramifications of COVID, like lung capacity or anything like that. Hopefully, and guess would be because he's vaccinated, that the odds are it's more of the fact that he is not in football conditioning right now because he hasn't done anything in football for 2 weeks. But that will change this week. I bet he'll be a full or almost full participant in practice next week. And whenever the Chiefs play the Ravens next week in prime time, Tyrann Mathieu will be out there and the defense will look a whole lot better. I think that part I'm not that worried about. Chris Jones was really quiet through the first quarter and then I think the first 10 minutes of the second quarter. And then he started doing the things that we saw from him in training camp in the preseason, late in the game, kind of doing some closer stuff that was huge, deeply important to the Chiefs' defense, getting some stops, and makes me feel great. I love watching Chris Jones rush the passer. Makes me so happy. Willie Gay Jr. is at least 2 more games away from returning. The linebackers as a group had some really tough moments, some tough stretches in this game. All 3 of the main guys, though, from Ben Niemann to Nick Bolton to Anthony Hitchens, all 3 of them had some really good moments, and also there were stretches of time that the entire group of linebackers were basically washed away in a great flood. And that's also okay. The corners had some really difficult moments as the Browns were dropping the ball right over their heads. Juan Thornhill, who I love as a player, but today was not his best work, at least through about 3 quarters. Same for Dan Sorensen, had some bad moments and some good ones. But that's the thing. Every one of those units ended up having a moment that you go, oh man, this team is screwed. This team is bleep. This team is hopeless. And then Juan Thornhill has a huge pass breakup. Ben Niemann has a great tackle. Mike Hughes has a game-stealing interception. I think that's the story of the defense today. Long bad stretches with a couple individual little pops. And I think the Chiefs can survive that way. This game very much felt like a survival, especially on the defensive side. The run defense would have, they did give up a couple of big chunk runs, and then they would have a couple short stops in a row. And then Baker Mayfield, even with the game losing, falling out of the Browns' hands a little bit in the second half, in the fourth quarter especially, well, really the whole second half, Baker Mayfield averaged 11.5 yards per pass attempt, which is a pretty hefty chunk. Mahomes ended up at 9.4, which I don't know if you remember was probably pretty significantly helped by the one pass attempt that went for 75. That number was much lower ahead of that. The Browns ran it for about 6 yards a carry, but it was 5.5 for their actual running backs on their designed runs. Again, not a good day for the Chiefs defense by any means at all. But ultimately, every unit had a couple of big plays late in the game, and you can get away with that. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying this is a good thing, and I'm also, again, telling you that I'm 99% sure Tyrann Mathieu's playing next week, so hopefully it doesn't have to look exactly this bad ever again. But you can survive that way of a bad game with a few good moments whenever your offense is quarterbacked by an alien who throws the ball to 2 cyborgs, which is basically the best way that I can think of to actually explain Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball to Travis Kelce, who is always open, and to Tyreek Hill, who is always faster than whoever he's trying to get by. Again, not that that's the way you want to live your life, right? I would love to see the Chiefs defense have a significantly better outing against the Ravens, against everybody, every step along the way. I would like for it to look a whole lot better whenever Tyrann Mathieu gets back, which I think that it will. But ultimately, if you have to win a game this way, you can. And if you're any other team in the NFL and you watch this game, what are you thinking? If you're the Ravens, who they play next week, or the Chargers, who they play in week 3, if you're watching this game today and you're thinking, the Browns dominated the first half, they slowed down the offense enough, the Chiefs defense could not stop them, and they lost the game, and they had a major coaching blunder, which I am going to come back to, because of course I'm going to talk about that. And they still lost that game by 4 points. I know it's frustrating as a Chiefs fan to see the places where they were far, far, far from perfect today, but imagine being anybody else. And that's why this team has got to be so annoying for everyone else in the league and should always be fun first in your mind, I hope, because the offense is ridiculous. Real quick on the, we'll take some calls here in a second, and I'm hesitant to try to cook through a bunch of calls before we start getting press conferences, although I think we actually should have a little bit of time to take some of those before we start hearing from Reid, Mahomes, and whoever else shows up. So we should be able to get to a few of these calls here shortly. Hold tight, everybody. But I want to talk about the decision that Andy Reid made at the end of their first drive. And I'm guessing we're going to hear an explanation for it, and I'm guessing I could relatively easily predict it, what the answer will be. But the Chiefs went down 8-0 because the Browns understood right out of the gate. The Browns understood what they needed to do to contend in this game and ultimately if they were going to win this game. And it was not to grind the rock and pound the rock and do other things with the rock. It wasn't about running out the clock or keeping Mahomes on the sidelines by having long drives and just going Chubb Hunt over and over again. Kevin Stefanski, to his infinite credit, got to 3rd and 3 from the 15-yard line and without a hesitance said, we're not going to kick a freaking field goal here. Do you know who we're playing? And also, do you know what our offense is? Because the Browns' offense is good. And this is without Odell Beckham, by the way. And also, not at this point yet, but soon after, they lost their left tackle in this game. And their offense still held up quite well. I think that was after their second drive, that they ended up losing their left tackle. Anyway, they get to 4th and 3 from the 15 and go, oh, yeah, no, we're going to go ahead and pick this up. Threw a little quick slant to Hooper. And then they handed it off to Chubb a couple times. He punched it in. Chris Jones jumped off sides, or it was an encroachment call on the extra point. So the extra point was only 1 yard that they needed. And they handed it to Kareem Hunt. He leaped a yard, and they went up 8-0. That is good, aggressive coaching. And if there is a way that you're going to try to do something to beat the Chiefs, this is what it looks like. I had somebody tweet me, and I was probably... I had a deleted version of the tweet that I didn't actually send that was much meaner to this person. And then I realized I didn't need to be that mean. I just really hate this narrative. But somebody at halftime said, no matter how much if you're new to the show, I often talk about the fact that time of possession is, at least in a vacuum, a completely useless statistic with no meaning beyond its own existence. Now, sometimes you can use it to, reverse engineer something, or you can say, oh, wow, I wonder what the time of possession was in this game out of some curiosity or whatever. But if you just showed me, 10 different time of possession charts and said, what does this say about who wins, who loses the time of possession, all this stuff, right? And who actually won the game, I would not be able to pick out winners and losers from that because it's an empty statistic. But it comes up all the time. You talk about time of possession and keeping Mahomes off the field. And at the end of the half, the time of possession was almost exactly tied, which is hilarious because someone was tweeting to me about how this game today was a reflection of how time of possession does actually matter, because it felt like the Browns had the ball for that entire first half. Ultimately, they had the ball for about 15 and a half minutes. The Chiefs had the ball for about 14 and a half minutes. So time of possession, totally useless. Anyway, that's not how you threaten the Chiefs. How you do it is what the Browns did on that first drive. You want to steal possessions and maximize points. They ended up, instead of settling for that field goal there, they scored the most points that you can score on one possession. And then the Chiefs, as is a part of the rule, which is why you can't keep them off the field, the Chiefs then got the ball back. But they were down 8-0. That's a great drive from the Browns. The Chiefs' answer to that is that they get to 4th and 2 from the 10. And Patrick Mahomes is standing on the field waving his hand in, like he's waving in a play, saying, "Hey, call something. Let's go. Let's go for this here. Because I'm Patrick Mahomes. We have a $100 million offensive line in front of me. We have Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, and we drafted a running back in the first round. Do any of these things indicate that maybe we could just pick up 2 yards here?" And Andy Reid said no. So we're going to kick this field goal. And that's a terrible call. Andy Reid is an excellent football coach. I tweeted something to this end, and I want to make this as clear as I can because it's very easy to end up sounding like you're saying something that you don't actually mean. So I'm going to try to be clear on this one. Being a football coach is really hard, as far as I can tell. And Andy Reid is either as good at it as anybody in the world or just about. And it's crazy to me that what seems to me to be the easiest part about being a head football coach is the thing that Andy Reid is like the least good at. Not the least good among all head coaches, just for like his personal traits, you know? You go offensive inventiveness, and he's like a 10 out of 10. You know, locker room management is like a 10 out of 10. Staff building is like a 10 out of 10. And then you get to figuring out fourth down aggressiveness, and he's just sort of a dude. It's just very strange to me. But it really bothers me because, you know, he and the Chiefs and the sport is a very detail-oriented business. And this is a detail that can add and subtract points from your total in a really, really easy to understand way, where all I'm saying is your offense has a chance to pick up 2 yards to gain 4 points over what you would get from just kicking the field goal here. And to continually get that wrong is really frustrating because it's free money. I think it was Eric Eager of Pro Football Focus who said that like the Browns were just bending over and picking up the dollars that they were walking by, and the Chiefs are just walking right past that money. And it's just frustrating because that's something that isn't that hard that is really important to get right because it can swing games. Ultimately, it didn't end up impacting the final score because the Chiefs won by 4. And they also went for 2 and they could have just get the extra point late if the score would have been different at that point. I'm sure that Andy Reid's going to say that that he just wanted to get the points on the board. It was early in the game. He didn't want to chase points or whatever. But the whole game is about chasing points. And so that logic really doesn't hold if it does end up being where he heads on that front. That was really frustrating to me. Because as this game was going on, you could feel like it was, if the Chiefs were going to make a comeback, it was going to be a comeback. They were playing from behind. Every point here matters. The Browns are being aggressive in a way the Chiefs weren't there. And as long as we're talking about the warts that come along with the successes, that was a mistake, flatly. I'm not going to say that was a choice that I would have made that he did. I'm saying that is a mistake, numerically. This is more objective, but you get a underhand toss pass in the red zone to Mike Rimmers. Just wasn't really necessary. They had an instance later in the game where they were going to run a trick play where Kelce was in the kind of wildcat. I think Mahomes was behind him still. Some trick play they were going to run there, but there was a false start, so it cost them yards. And then the next play, early in the third quarter, they had to burn a timeout. Those are all things that, and I'm guessing that Andy Reid will say something to this end, but those are things that they need to clean up. Or at least figure out where you're going to pick your spots on those things. Because those are mistakes that ultimately can cost you football games. If 1 or 2 little things go differently today, you add 1 or 2 more things to that list of mistakes or big plays that don't get made. If the Chiefs don't force that fumble, if the Browns are able to make 1 more offensive drive, whatever it is, then we're talking about those things I just listed as the reasons the Chiefs lost this game in the margins. Look, I mean, giving up 22 points in the first half, defensively being relatively incompetent there, that was the biggest mistake, right? That was the worst section of the game. I'm not saying that Andy Reid giving up potentially 4 points is the same thing as the defense literally giving up 22. But I can't fix the Chiefs' defense, right? We know that Tyrann Mathieu wasn't playing in this game. It's different if he is. I can't change that. I can't change Tyrann Mathieu's conditioning or figure out how he could have kept him from getting COVID. But those little things in the margins, and sometimes it's the stuff, the risky trick plays or whatever, that's quintessential Andy Reid. You got to execute it, but that's never going to go away, and that's fine. But just leaving some points on the board is not the way that I want to be going through life. Beards, I'll talk to me here. I know that we know, by the way, also Anthony Hitchens, he came back into the game, but officially had an elbow tweak of some sort. So it sounds like he'll be fine. So should we try to take some of these calls, and then we'll hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in a little bit? Do you know who else is coming up to the podium yet at this point? Has that been revealed?
Yes, that would be Tyreek Hill, Chris Jones, Mike Hughes.
All right. Mike Hughes got the game-sealing pick. Tyreek Hill had a huge game. Chris Jones had a big second half after, I guess, a big sack near the end of the first half as well. But in the meantime, let's see if we can get through a few of these calls. Actually, first, I'm going to tell you that this is the Chiefs Postgame Show here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more Powerball. Now, on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays. That is all brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Also, the show is brought to you by CBD American Shaman. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman. Our team's score is your % off. They scored 33 points, so you get 33% off all day tomorrow at CBD American Shaman. Just mention this promotion. Tell them you heard it on 810. That you're there if you're 33% off. That's at CBD American Shaman, because life is better with the feather. Let's go ahead and go to the phones. We'll start off with Ryan. Ryan, how you feeling here? One game down.
Hey, God bless y'all. Honestly, we got Mahomes.
Yes, sir.
Just forget about it, guys. It just tune in. No, it's going to be a little bit dicey because, yes, we don't have a second running back, I don't think. We need somebody that has a little bit more physicality. I'm not going to think that we're not going to sit here and point out things that we don't see already. Mm-hmm. It may get better. That's always going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. You defeat every prick at a time. And those little things is what I'm saying. That prick at your thumb and all that kind of thing. Let's just take each little bit about it. We got Mahomes, though.
Yep.
Let's learn how to love.
Ryan, I appreciate you. That's a good.
No, we love you guys.
Ryan, I appreciate that. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you bringing that vibe into the postgame show. That's a good sort of nice little refresher. I feel like somebody just lit some incense in the studio or something. It's, you know what? Here's the takeaway. We've got Mahomes. It's kind of what's going to be. Also, physical running back wise, I will say real quick, the Blake Bell quarterback sneak should just be the play on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 3rd and inches, 4th and inches. Quarterback sneak works. It has the largest, I guess the least potential for some sort of blow up in the backfield or whatever. I'm comfortable with letting the Belldozer take over that role. It's not exactly the same as what Ryan was mentioning, I understand, but I'll take it. Let's go next up to Steven. Steven, you're on the Chiefs Postgame Show. What's up?
Man, what's up, man? Hey, we don't have to apologize for a darn thing, man. We won. The field is open in the AFC. They've got a bunch of losers. Baker Mayfield is a choke artist. Okay, let's just put it out there. If the Browns are the new Raiders, if you hang around long enough, they're going to do something to choke. They're going to do something to lose. They got Honey Badger coming back with a full week. I'm not worried about the defense. I'm worried about putting up a big W and going back to the Super Bowl and all the other losers in the AFC conference who lost today. We are just better, period. Tony Romo said we are the new Patriots. It's true. We are just better than everybody else. The Bills lost to an old man. The Bills lost to a 40-year-old quarterback. Come on, man. I mean, maybe the Steelers or somebody will have a miracle run. We're going back to the Super Bowl. Stop apologizing for winning. We're going to kick everybody's butt. Let's go 20-0. Go Chiefs.
Appreciate that, Steven. That's another good call. We got powerful calls today. I agree. I mentioned at the top of the show, the Steelers beating the Bills is good news for the Chiefs because I'm not afraid of the Steelers. And the Bills are already now a full couple games back of the Chiefs. Chiefs will have a chance to really put them away head-to-head in a little while. And you're right, you should not apologize for how any of these games go. And frankly, like, again, we're always going to nitpick, right? Because it's easier to nitpick about some various defensive questions or whatever. But the biggest question right now is Tyrann Mathieu going to play next week? And I think he is. And I think the Chiefs are, in that case, firmly the best team in football, clearly the favorite in the AFC, and I'm not worried about anybody else catching them. The Bills would have been the closest before today. Now they're already 0-1 because they lost to a team that's quarterbacked by a Lego man. I'm not worried about it either. I don't think you should be. I think you're in the right headspace on that one, and it's always going to be this. As long as Patrick Mahomes is playing quarterback. It's always going to be the stuff in the margins. Your stressful victories are still less stressful because you know that Patrick Mahomes is the guy that you have to ultimately try to just erase some deficit, and he probably will. Let's go. I got to get my numbers figured out here. It's been a long time since taking a whole phone board of calls. Next up is Butch. Butch, you're on the Sports Radio 810 Chiefs postgame show here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. Whoop, there we go, Butch. Sorry, needed to double tap it.
Gentlemen, how about those Chiefs?
How about them, Butch?
I've been waiting a long time to say that. Let me tell you something right now. Let me get this over real quick. Let me tell you something. Let me put this into your minds right now. An NFL field, 120 yards long, 53 and a third yards wide. I want you to reimagine what you think is possible on a field like that. You just saw it again. This isn't by chance, gentlemen. This is a decades-long run. You were correct, my friend, okay? Somebody said that this was a game that reminded the Browns, reminded of the old Raiders. No, I mean, they remind me of the Raiders from last year when we lost on the home field there for a little bit because they were really working us out. The interior offensive line was fantastic for them. We know they were elite. We were behind the sticks early. But let me tell you something that I loved about Cleveland. A couple of things I'll get out your hair. You know what they did this time around, though? They won on the outside. Anthony Schwartz, when they went play action, they won outside of the numbers. And then they were able to get a couple of runs outside the numbers, too. That's what they weren't able to do to us in the playoff game last year. That ended up being the difference. And then, of course, on defense, my goodness, guys, we will see them again, in my opinion. But let me tell you what the Chiefs do. When the Chiefs came back, they ran an inventive play with Blake Bell under the center to run a QB sneak. Hey, go back and watch college football. You want to know how Andy Reid's watching college football? Go watch Virginia versus Illinois on Saturday. What'd you see in the second quarter? You saw a fake with the tight end under center, and they completed a pass to him for a touchdown. Be waiting for a variation off of this. We're going to talk again in a couple weeks. They're going to have a variation off of that. It's going to score him a touchdown. But beyond that, I'm running out of superlatives again. This team is at a point where even when they're not at their best, their depth has become playmakers. What? Their depth is playmakers? Number 22 is a playmaker when you don't have Tyrann Mathieu? Number 54 is a playmaker when you don't have Willie Gay? This is where talent meets good roster building. It's something that most teams could even think about. Most fan bases never reach. Savor the flavor, gentlemen. We are still here.
Butch, I appreciate it as always. I'm going to briefly have to take a quick sidetrack because my phone and watch keep buzzing, and I feel like it'd be a good energy also because our friend Seth Kaiser of the Chief of the North newsletter, The Athletic, the Times R Us podcast, et cetera, has been texting me, and I haven't really been reading them. I just saw him yell at me because I mentioned Chris Jones jumping into encroachment on the extra point. And he tweeted, "I'm currently texting at JB Brisco incessantly while he does radio, and it's some of the most fun I've had all day." And you were at the game, Seth. How is this more fun? Is you bothering me while I'm trying to do radio more fun than actually being at the game? I think you did a Chiefs game wrong, Seth. Anyway. Hey, Beards, I did the legal ID, and I did it so smoothly you didn't even notice. The legal ID is because when I went into Butch, I said, "You're on the Chiefs postgame show here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City." And I did it so silky smooth that Beards didn't even notice that I successfully did it. And
Thank you.
I did another one just then, just to have one on both sides of the hour. Although actually the hour just hit now, but I was within the window. Beard's still good to keep cooking through calls here real quick. I kind of like the quick pace. Everybody's been excellent so far. So let's go ahead and go to Rodney next. Rodney, you're on the Chiefs Postgame Show here on Sports Radio 810. What's up?
Hey, thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to have 3 quick points for you.
Love it.
In the second half, Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo sit there and looked at each other and said, okay, it's time to stop playing chess and go to a fight. We're going to a backyard fight. Forget it. Put my best 11 out there, and we're going to fight. My second point of it is the RPO ain't going to work because your interior offensive line are a bunch of maulers. Either you have to get that ball out quick or you just run the ball and let them go. You have an all-pro interior offensive line. Them guys are a bunch of maulers. You're going to have an illegal man downfield every single time. That's why he stopped it. My third point, can somebody just have a defense that has a good front four, leave Nick Bolton out there by himself, because the kid make plays. That is your pure diamond. He was there every single time. Every time Nick Bolton was out, they ran the ball wild. When you put Nick Bolton out there and you told him that running back is his, he shut it down. I love Nick Bolton. I think he's taking every linebacker spot out there, and I can't wait for Willie Gay to come back.
Rodney, I appreciate the call. I wrote down your points because I want to circle back to him, but Tyreek Hill's at the podium right now at Arrowhead.
I just got a lot of pride in just being the best. You know, I feel like each and every year I come out here and like I prove myself, and every time I get on Twitter, people doubt on me because of how fast I am. You know, so and plus, like I also want to retire I just want to retire my mom. You know, so that is what drives me to just come out here and work hard and just be the best. You know, my mom, my family, just everything in general.
Most cases when they're defending you at this point, try to have more than one person
Right.
on your team. What's going through your mind when you catch the ball, you look to your left, and there's just that much open space?
I don't know, man. When I catch the ball in open space, I'm like, just try to score. Like, I need to get out of that, you know, because I'm trying to reverse field. I'm trying to go left, right. I'm trying to do everything, you know, instead of just getting upfield, you know, and just taking the yard. So, I mean, it's all about getting better, you know. So I feel like when we watch this tape with EB, he gonna chew me another asshole because there was a lot of plays I could have had so many more yards, you know. So it's all good.
Tyreek on that play on the touchdown, when Pat threw the ball, I think Cleveland had safety there.
Which one?
The touchdown.
Uh-huh. There's a bunch of them, though. Which one?
You had your touchdown.
Oh, okay.
You were the one who adjusted, and he never really adjusted. Do you feel like you're always going to have the advantage? You're always going to adjust better to a ball like that than he is?
Yeah, man. John Johnson, he's a heck of a ball player. You know what? So, I mean, I guess he was thinking that Pat was going to launch the ball by 80 yards. You know, and like you said, I was able to adjust the ball. So that's really hard for like any DB. I don't care who you is. You know, if you're running full speed and I stop and catch the ball, it's going to be hard for any DB.
Tyreek, when you have a big plays out of 75 yards, and you've had a few of those last year, what's the feeling going through your body, you know, that you can explain to fans how you feel, you know, when you make a big play like that, you get to the end, and obviously you kind of slow down and instead of back flipping or anything, you walk to the end of it. What's the feeling and what's the rush like going through you when you're going to take that?
Man, I'm fucking fired up, man. I'm feeling good, you know, especially in all that field right there. I really want to throw it a peace sign and do a backflip, but I was like, I do not want to get fined, you know, so I was just like, but yeah, I'm feeling good at that point. You know, after I caught that pass, I'm like, yeah, I'm finna go do something crazy. But then I felt my legs like, don't even do no backflip. I would have landed on my neck too. Crazy.
With the way you guys play here, Tyreek, even if it isn't your best day, just what does it say for everybody in the locker room that you guys beat a team that played very well for 3.5 quarters?
Excuse me, say that again?
When you guys play this well,
Uh-huh.
you play as well as the Browns did, just what's the feeling like in the locker room when you know you didn't play your best game, but still win?
I mean, we always can get better. Like, and I know everybody in that locker room is going to take that same approach. Whether it's Pat, whether it's myself, whether it's Kels, whether it's Chris Jones, everyone is going to take that approach and getting better each and every week. You know, so that is what makes this team so great. You know, because everybody wants to be better. We don't mind holding each other accountable, and we want to get back to the ship. So. Right.
So that's felt like that was all right. You making sure that it wasn't.
Look, I don't need to come in Monday and see an envelope in my, you know, because I pay child support, so I just need that money, you know, so I can't be throwing up the peace sign no more. That's why I came up with the gloves. I forgot I could open up my hand. Uh-huh. Oh no. Pat can throw the ball literally like 80 yards. So if I stop and he throw the ball 80 yards, then I'm going to really get chewed out. So if I run hard and he underthrow me, then he'll get chewed out. So I just got to run hard. There's never I thought in my head that he's going to underthrow me. It was very fun. Like, that game was very physical. I had a few opportunities to go in and block the safeties. Those guys were coming downhill. I felt it a little bit. But that's what football is. It's fun, it's physical, and it's fast. So this was a great way to start the season out for us, to get our minds right. So everyone is very excited, man, for the season. Uh-huh. Just keep playing, man. I feel like there was never a doubt in no one's head, that we were going to lose this game and just play for one another, So we came out, we started playing for one another, and things began to happen for us. You seen the special teams, drop punt by the punter or whatever. Then you see me make a play. Then you see Kelsey make a play, and things begin to roll. It's just that fast. That's why football is a game of 4 quarters. 60 minutes,
What's your message to the fans? Seemed like they got involved, late in the game.
It was crazy. Like, you guys keep that up, man, because my eardrums are crazy right now. I feel like I'm on a Delta flight. It's crazy.
I'm just wondering, you guys can obviously score really quick, like the play that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
The other team knows that. I'm just wondering if you felt over the years like that puts a little bit of pressure on the other team and one bad play being in their minds.
Yeah, most definitely, because you can see like a play like that can just create energy, just like that. Like it created a spark in our whole defense. As you see, we scored. Then Chris Jones came out and got a sack, and like I said, things began to change for us. It's just that fast, like a quick smart. It doesn't matter if I make it, if McCole make it, Kelsey make it. It doesn't matter, man. Like, this team is gonna play for one another.
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
There's Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill live here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. A colorful Tyreek Hill that I think we were okay. I think we caught everything on. But isn't it, good mood post game for the first time since a tough loss in February. Nice to be on the podium after a win and a huge game for him. Also, this came up on the YouTube chat as well. Shout out to everybody who's watching our various places, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. You can watch the Chiefs Postgame Show. That's right. You can watch our show and then also comment in all those places. Really good place to sound off if you don't want to wait on hold or whatever. But Andrew on the YouTube said, I was very glad that Hill didn't do the flip or the peace sign. It could have easily been a taunting flag. Sounds like he was worrying about the cash, which I very much understand from his behalf. I was worried there that he might flip and get a new 15. Back out to Arrowhead. Mike Hughes, who sealed the game. Cornerback speaks now.
All about me. Obviously, I made a great catch, great play, but always got to give credit to those other guys as well, especially offense for keeping us in the game. They kept scoring, and all we needed was a couple stops to get right back in it. So offense helped our momentum, and when that opportunity presented itself, I made a play. So.
How big was that 75-yard touchdown pass that Patrick threw to Tyreek that kind of fed you all to get that 4 and out on the Browns?
Right, like I said, that was huge, man. It was a big momentum shift, and late in the game, we needed that, especially on the defensive side. We obviously got a lot of corrections to make. It wasn't a perfect game, but it took all 3 phases: offense, defense, special teams, and we're just blessed to come out on top, man. It's week 1. It's hard to get wins in the NFL, and you just got to take it week by week and appreciate the opportunity, and we see the opportunity.
How satisfying was this in the prism of the idea, like this is a team that went out and wanted you?
Wait, one more time? I'm sorry.
How exciting was making that play for you in the prism of this is a team that went out and traded for you, and satisfying and being able to deliver that for them in such a big spot?
Honestly, bro, I'm past that. I'm here. I'm a part of Chiefs Kingdom now, so that's all I'm focused on. But it felt good to get out here in front of our home crowd and be able to make a play in front of everybody to show everybody what I can do on the field, and it felt great, man. It felt great.
Mike, what didn't work in the first half defensively, and then what do you think worked so well for you guys late in that fourth quarter?
When we watch film tomorrow, we'll know every all those details, and obviously we need to stop the run better, a little bit better, and the pass as well. But we'll go and make those corrections tomorrow, and we'll keep this thing rolling, bro.
Along those same lines, how much do you think not having Tyron on the back end of coverage to help you communication contributed to some of those issues?
Well, we always have this mindset of one man down, next man up. So obviously we missed them a lot out there. But a lot of guys stepped up, came in and did their jobs, and the most important thing is that we got to win, man. That's all that matters.
He had a mic in there and had headphones set on the sideline. Was he coaching you guys at all? Was he leaving it to the coaches?
I think he was leaving it to the coach. Well, he was giving us pointers whenever we came off the field, but I think he was doing that to stay on point with the coaches and the guys that weren't on the field, giving them the calls so they'll get mental reps while they're on the sideline. So.
These are obviously two of the better teams in the AFC, but did you feel like this was maybe more physical than a typical Week 1 game? Because it seems like maybe this is more like a playoff type match.
Oh, it's definitely a very physical game. They got two great backs. Got to tip your hats off to those guys. They played a good game. Baker Mayfield had a good game. And like I said, those two running backs that they have are pretty tough. And, they like to feed them the ball. So we knew that coming into this game. And, like I said, tomorrow we'll go in and fix the mistakes that we made, and we'll keep this thing rolling.
Hey, on the, you guys have just given up the touchdown to Kareem Hunt, and the 75-yard touchdown play happens. So on the next drive, how much of that is just you guys operating on adrenaline? You've been on the field a lot at that point. And how critical was Chris Jones' sack there to kind of set the tempo and the tone for that drive?
Chris is a great player. Everybody knows what he can do. But as a unit, we got to have a short-term memory. That's how we approach the game. We know things are going to happen. We know they're going to make plays. They get paid too, So we always just got to have short-term memory, come back, and be ready to play the next play. So.
Okay, guys. Thanks, Mike. Thank you.
That's Chiefs cornerback Mike Hughes, game-sealing interception that ended up locking it down there and has been a nice addition to this point. Going to be interesting to see how his season continues to unfold as the Chiefs figure out who their best three corners are. Today, it might have been Hughes and Snead and maybe even jumping Charvarius Ward. Expecting to hear from Chris Jones probably in mere moments. Nope, okay, we're gonna have to wait on Chris Jones for a little bit. What do we want to do here, Beards? You want to go ahead and take a quick break? We'll take a quick break. Everybody who's on hold, we'll try to get to you next segment. Still coming around. We'll get to Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Chris Jones. They're coming up here on the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman Sports Radio 810 Chiefs postgame show. Again, brought to you by Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power. Powerball now on Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. And brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Presented by the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman. Hear exclusive Chiefs coverage every week from the best in the business. Only on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Trent Green, Adam Schefter, Tim Grunhard, Adam Teicher, Matt Derrick, Adam Kaplan, Jeff Shadia, Nick Leckie, Gary Barnett, Sam Mellinger, Bill Moss, Mark Bullrichter, Stan Weber, Sam McDowell, Seth Kaiser, Blair Kirchhoff, Kevin Harlan, Field Yates, Jesse Newell, Cynthia Freeland, and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Get Upside Gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code PHIL for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code PHIL for up to 50 cents a gallon cash back on your first tank. That's code PHIL.
Tired of searching for sports updates in different places? The Xfinity Sports Zone gives you the ultimate sports hub experience. Find games, commentary, news, and highlights all in one place. Use the voice remote to get instant access to stats and scores. Just say, "Show me NASCAR" or "Soccer scores." Plus, get notifications with breaking news alerts and more when the game's about to start. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store for details. Restrictions apply. Requires Xfinity TV service with X1.
Feeling stressed in your skin? Not with Olay Body Wash infused with skincare ingredient retinol. Olay with retinol improves skin 3 times better versus the leading body wash, transforming skin from dry and stressed to bright and smooth, so I can step into stressful days feeling my best in my skin. Olay Body, fearless in my skin. Now try Olay's other skincare-inspired body washes with hyaluronic acid, vitamin C, and collagen.
With its dedication to bringing wellness to Kansas City, CBD American Shaman is excited to announce the opening of Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness at 117th and Row in Camelot Court. Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness offers medical aesthetics and IV nutrient therapy, and there is a full-service CBD American Shaman store there too. Start your journey to wellness with Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness. Call 913-227-9150 or go to shamantotalwellness.com. Life is better with the feather.
Mahomes back to throw, forced out to his right. Mahomes throws on the run, a deep ball looking for Hill. Comes back, makes the catch at the 30. Spins left and nobody's going to catch him. Hill to the 10, 5, touchdown as he stops at the goal line and spins into the end zone. It's a 75-yard touchdown as Mahomes is running around, pointing to the crowd, waving his arms. It was a kind of just he threw it up there, and Hill came back for the ball. Johnson got spun around, and it's a touchdown for Hill.
That is our play of the game, brought to you by Central Bank of the Midwest. I love the call there because you can hear the color commentator in the background just going, "Oh! Oh! No, they did it again! Oh! 75 yards! Ah!" And I think that's the appropriate energy to have, honestly, whenever discussing the Kansas City Chiefs and all of the nonsense that they do on a regular basis offensively. Which is going to circle back into another interesting conversation shortly hereafter, I think, whenever we hear from Andy Reid in a little while, because there's something funny that I think will come of that. But we expect to be hearing from Chris Jones in just a minute. So hopefully we will do that momentarily, and then we'll take the rest of the phone calls and everything that we've got currently on the line. If you want to hop in, you can do so, 913-381-810, but certainly don't have to. Lots of other ways to get in touch with the show. You can tweet me at JB Brisco, tweet at Sports Radio 810, and I would really encourage you to watch the show, which you can do by going to the Sports Radio 810 Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube channels. Just Facebook.com/sportsradio810, Twitch.tv/sportsradio810, or YouTube.com/810WHB. And I can see all the comments all in one place over here on my screen, so I can see things like rename it Matthew Field at Arrowhead, if that's what it takes to extend Tyrann Mathieu. That's from a Facebook commenter. My only issue is that I can't see the name of the Facebook commenter, so I'm not purposefully snubbing anybody there. But we've got tons of places you can get in touch with the show, whatever's most convenient for you. And Twitch chat's nice because you can just, fly through, leave a comment, and I'll circle back on some of those in a little while. I know that we're still waiting on Chris Jones. So my one concern is that I don't want to go to a call and then have to kick somebody off after 30 seconds. So why don't we talk about Chris Jones while we wait to hear from Chris Jones? He really was a bit quiet out of the gate, and it kind of got to that point near halftime where I was telling Beards that I was thinking about all of the things that haven't happened by halftime, all of the things the Chiefs had not done, who had not shown up, who had not made an impact, and really Chris Jones was on that list. He ends up making a huge play towards the end of the half and then more in the second half, and he looked like the guy that we saw in the preseason, that we saw in training camp, that seemed like he could be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. It's going to be very, very, very difficult right now to force your way into that into that conversation because of what Chandler Jones did today, a 5-sack day against Ryan Tannehill and the Titans. So a real inside track for Chandler Jones. But Chris Jones should be in that conversation. That's a couple C. Joneses should be in the voting somewhere. Maybe you confuse them at some point. But no, I mean, a great game for Chris Jones, and looks like he really could be the guy that we've said kind of not even in hushed tones anymore. We've sang the praises of, saying that this dude is primed for the best year of his career and could be a one-man wrecking crew. I am hesitant to go too hard on my sort of expectations for Frank Clark at this point, because frankly right now I don't know when he's going to be there, but hopefully he gets a partner in crime there on the other side of the defensive line shortly. Here is Chris Jones after a fantastic first week of the 2021 season.
Few adjustments with Spags. Got settled down. I was able to play my game.
Chris, you started off the season with 2 sacks. What did you see on those plays that got you the sacks that
we talked on the sideline with keys. We came up with some keys that they was showing us pass, and when I realized it was a pass, I was able to fully pass rush on it, and I was fortunate enough to get a sack on a veteran offensive tackle.
Chris, what do you think some of the issues were in that first half against this Browns offense?
We just had to settle down as a defense. I think we was all over the place. They was giving us a lot of different looks, especially with the play action. We was expecting a heavy run. And the time we expect heavy run, we'll get a play action over the top, or the time we're expecting play action, we'll get a run down the middle. So we just had to settle down as a defense. And once we got settled, we was able to get them off the field. I think we ended it with 3 straight drives going off the field. So we just got to settle down more earlier in the game. I don't think we need to wait to halftime to settle down. So that's a growing phase. It's always good to grow off of a win.
You mentioned
I don't really feel like I've taken over a game. I feel like we had a lot of pieces in the right place, and Spags called a heck of a defense, and my teammates helped me.
When you find out that you're not that tired now for the day, what kind of challenge is that?
It was a big challenge, especially having 2 of our leaders down. Frank Clark, Tyrann Matthew is the vocal leaders of this team, and having their presence, especially on the field. In games like this, the teams we're probably meeting in the playoff is very important. So hopefully I'm able to have my guys back next week.
Chris, with LC5 out there, you guys have a pretty next man. Talk about those other guys that stepped up, like long-term.
Listen, I give a credit to Veach and Spagnolia. We brought in guys this offseason, and we got a group of guys that's able to step up when the adversity faces us, especially in critical situations. We got 2-1, who was a new guy on the team who ended the game. And we got 1 who we fully believe in. We got Dan Sorensen, we got Snead, and we got Trey 5. And those guys I fully believe in. We fully believe in them as a defense and as a team, and to step up when adversity faces us.
Could you the way it was out there for the fourth quarter? How big of a one was the kind of rotation that Coach Daly had for you? And 2, was the offense coming out there and having that long drive at the beginning of the half that really gave the defense a little on the field for half an hour? How much of those 2 things kind of help you be fresh?
Me and Coach Daly, we talk a lot on the sideline to make sure we keep everyone fresh. Like I said a while ago, we got guys that can come in and play the game. The 8 guys we dress on the defensive line, I'm able to take a break, and they're able to step it up. We got Colin Sanders, we got Derek Nottie, Tershawn Warden, Mike Dana, Alex Okafor, and I can continue to go, Jaron Reed. And those guys that can step up and play the game, they don't need me every play out there. And me and Coach Daly, we talk about situations and game plans, how we want to utilize me and my skill set on different types of plays. And everybody get tired. I need a break every now and then. You know what I mean? 1,000%. I feel like defense was a lack of first half, and we had to make a few adjustments. That's all it took. Settle down as a defense. I think we all was excited. Fans everywhere. Everyone is screaming. A lot of adrenaline pumping. Once we was able to settle down as a defense, we were able to weather the storm and get them off the field.
How do you think your rookie teammate Nick Bolton did out there today?
I think he did pretty good. He was able to come in, especially in the goal line, and he was flying around. So we're going to watch film, see what we can get better at, and continue going.
What about Reggie White that inspired you?
Oh, Reggie White. Like I was telling him earlier, I think he's probably the greatest player to ever play the game. I hope when I retire that I'm out on my game after Reggie White. You know, he set the standard so high in this league, and I just bought his jersey 3 days ago, and I was like, I got to get the greatest player ever to play the game jersey, and I decided to wear it my first game.
What's most satisfying, Chris, knowing that you're playing on the defensive end position, the place where you wanted to be for so long to have success in the first go-around?
Because honestly, changing the position is very exciting for me. I feel like I'm learning a whole new position. Still growing, still got a lot of things to learn from, especially from this game. It's always able to learn when you have a win, It's tougher when you lose. So that's a good thing, and we're just going to continue to work on it. I'm going to watch film first. It's never as good as you think. It's never as bad as you think, but it's always something you can build off of.
Chris, did you sense an emotional shift from the Browns there in the fourth quarter when things started to kind of roll your way?
Well, once we was able to settle down and get after him and had a few plays to go our way and stop the run and force them to pass the ball, we was able to create some havoc. So we just got to continue to build off of that, especially early in the game. You don't want to wait to halftime to kind of, start creating havoc. So we're going to watch film. Let's see where we at.
I'm sure you guys are a little dejected after, you get the fumble, they get the field goal, one-score game, and you give up the touchdown. But that 75-yard touchdown from Mahomes and Tyreek, you come out and follow that up with a sack. Is that the key moment in the game for the defense when you get that sack?
I'll say there was a lot of different key moments. The turnover is always huge. The sack at the beginning of the drive kind of took the Browns out of the game plan they wanted to go with. And the interception at the end, So it's a lot of key moments. It's a lot of building moments also, When you make plays like that, it helps the defense around you, able to settle the corners down, let them know that the front four is getting after them, make Baker kind of release it faster than you want to. And it's a plus for the defense.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
There is Chris Jones, and we will still be hearing soon from Andy Reid and from Patrick Mahomes. But for right now, that concludes our Locker Room Report brought to you by Twin Peaks.
The Chiefs Locker Room Report is brought to you by Twin Peaks. No one does football like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, they have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon category to top-shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice balls. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu, second to none. And don't forget about their 29-degree man-sized drafts at Twin Peaks.
Let's go back to the phones here. I want to get to the two people who've been waiting online here for a little bit, and then we'll move on to some other stuff, and then soon be again hearing from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes here on the Chiefs Postgame Show here on Sports Radio 810. We'll go first to Clayton. Clayton, thank you for waiting. What's on your mind, man?
Yeah, so first things first, any win at this level is a good win.
Yes.
And that Cleveland offense is going to make a lot of defenses look really, really bad this year, I think.
I agree.
But what I wanted to really talk about was Nick Bolton. He looked like he was all over the field at times today, making open field tackles on Nick Chubb and shooting gaps where he had the opportunity to. And I know he's going to be a work in progress, but if this is the start, I like what I'm seeing.
I appreciate that, Clayton. I definitely am going to make some time. I'm carving out a little Nick Bolton section here that I want to circle back on him because I'm not going to be a wet blanket. I don't even have anything negative really. I want to make sure we're expecting the right things. I think your thought there, Clayton, is at a good point of like this is where we're starting from right now. I want to talk about Bolton here more in a second. But last call for a second here. Let's go to Ice Pyro. Ice Pyro, a regular Twitch contributor and Twitter user, and I don't know what you sound like, Ice Pyro, and honestly, I'm a little bit afraid to find out.
I've actually called in before, but don't worry about it.
Have you called in as Ice Pyro before?
No, I have not.
Okay.
And I didn't think I could until some ghost called Beard showed me a secret passage. But, I just went along with it.
He wasn't dead to me for very long. It was a pretty quick turnaround for Beards to the afterlife and back again.
he didn't look like a full ghost. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, it's
anyway.
somewhere between the two.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not worried about the offensive line. They'll get their chemistry together. I'm not worried about the defense. They'll get their chemistry together. I just want to say that it showed that this team is used to the big stage and didn't flinch, whereas the Browns, however good they are, and they look like a great team, flinched right at the end, and I think that made the difference in the game. So that's all I had to say. But you guys keep doing you, and I'll try to tune in as much as I can while I work during the weekend.
I appreciate that, Ice Pyro, and I'm going to just not... I definitely don't remember your voice from another name at some other point, so I'm going to continue to just enjoy that particular mystery. And yeah, let's talk about something. We don't have to take a break quite yet, right? Bears, we got a little bit of time? Cool. Let me unpack a few things. We also had the caller earlier that had a few things that I thought were kind of interesting. Specifically on Nick Bolton. I tweeted something kind of along these lines during the game, and it was really in response to one particular tweet that said something along the lines of like the NFL has been put on notice about Nick Bolton. And I don't think that's fair to Nick Bolton or just sort of like general good evaluation. Here, let me tell you where I'm at. And if you think I'm a hater, then that's fine. But everybody, this is again, no Willie Gay Jr., who would be this team's most athletic linebacker amongst all of them. Today, the linebackers were, I didn't see... I think Omari Cobb ended up on this roster, right? Dorian O'Daniel definitely did. I didn't notice either of them at any point playing linebacker. It's possible that I missed it. I honestly can't see the uniform numbers very clearly from here to the TV, so apologies if anyone else did get reps. But for the most part, linebackers today for the Chiefs were Anthony Hitchens, Nick Bolton, and Ben Niemann. And I think that I can say something that is true for all three of them, that is both positive and negative. All three of those guys had a play or two where you go, that right there, that's a good pop-off-the-screen play. Bolton had the tackle of Chubb in the backfield early on. He did meet some guys at the line of scrimmage. He had a couple good plays later as well. I like Bolton's trajectory. I also don't think that anybody should be saying that he's on, a defensive rookie of the year path right now or whatever, because that's not where we're at. He is not NFL ready in coverage. Which is okay. We knew that coming out of Mizzou. The thought really for me since they drafted him was that he would not play barring injury very much. In some circumstances, sure, but mostly he was here to be Anthony Hitchens' insurance, and maybe they move on from Hitchens next offseason, then Bolton steps in there and is a guy that then you don't have to worry about for the next 3 or 4 years, and that's super valuable. But Willie Gay gets hurt, and you've got Bolton getting a whole lot more work in his first game. Also, to Bolton's credit, Willie Gay Jr. did not get that kind of work early in his rookie season. Injuries still were an issue as a rookie as well, but I mean, think about all the times we said, man, the linebackers for the Chiefs last year, they don't look great right now. Can we get Willie Gay out there? And Spags continually would go with the veterans. It would be basically Damian Wilson kind of in that third spot. Of course, Hitchens and Niemann were both still there. I don't know if injuries would have forced Gay onto the field more earlier. Maybe he would have gotten some work. I don't know. But I will say absolutely that Nick Bolton went out there and was thrown into the fire. Game 1 as a rookie, absolutely held his own. Again, and coverage is not great right now, but we know that, and he'll either figure that out or we will find out that he's kind of a two-down linebacker in the future. But that's stuff that we'll figure out as time goes on. Also, and Ben Niemann had a couple decent plays. He recovered the fumble. He had a nice play that should have forced the Browns in a tough situation late in the game. They ended up converting anyway. But the one thing that I would point out, just because I think there's something interesting here on almost like a psychological level, which maybe is too deep for a post-game show. I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. But there were basically at least through, I think, the second and third quarters, for the most part, at least for altogether, several drives over the course of the game, the linebackers were atrocious. They just got swept away by a good offensive line, right? And a line that was climbing to the next level, which is also Not a good look for the Chiefs' defensive line, which I will say once again, you've got a couple guys that made some good plays. You had a nice play from a Tershawn Wharton-Nick Bolton combo at one point. You also had enough time where those linebackers were getting blocked at the next level that was not a good reflection for Tershawn Wharton, Derek Nottie, Jaron Reed, those guys, in the middle. Also, again, got good plays from those guys as well. I think maybe without exception, I think off the top of my head, Mike Hughes might be the only guy that I could think of right now where you could say they had bad stretches and good plays, which I know I mentioned at the top of the show as well, but bad stretches and good plays is something you can live with if your offense is great, and it's something you can live with as long as that leads to continual improvement. I have no doubt that it will for Nick Bolton. I just don't think that anybody should make him prime Luke Kuechly, Patrick Willis just yet, because he's not there at this point. That is not to say to any of the last few callers that have mentioned him that you shouldn't be optimistic. If you're a Mizzou Chiefs fan, you want to order yourself a Nick Bolton jersey, you should do it. I don't know. Has there been am I missing a Mizzou player since like Jeremy Maclin, Chase Daniel? There's probably somebody more recently that I eventually look over my shoulder and I'll see somebody on one of the chats that will say, yeah, this guy, you idiot. There could be someone active on the roster right now that I'm totally glossing over. But Bolton was a second-round pick and is certainly going to be here for a while. And you should enjoy that. I have no issue with that whatsoever. I also just think it's kind of funny whenever a guy that you're predisposed to like, if he's from a school you like, or if just being a high draft pick and you're excited about what that future may ultimately hold for that player, they get more praise for the positive stuff and less criticism for the negative things most of the time. And Bolton's going to benefit from that. Clyde Edwards-Helaire benefited from that. Creed Humphrey may benefit from that. That's just a thing that happens with draft picks. But I would say also that whenever Willie Gay comes back, if Nick Bolton ends up being the guy that comes off the field more often than Ben Neiman does, it's going to be really frustrating. But also, I wouldn't be surprised by that. However, this opportunity for Bolton could be enough to show Spagnuolo, hey, you don't usually like to play young defenders, just like generally speaking, certainly rookie ones. L'Jarius Sneed, though, whenever Bashaud Breeland was suspended and before Sneed's injury, was able to show Spags, hey, I'm ready for this. I will be where I'm supposed to be. I can do everything you ask me to do. And I think if you're going to be a rookie playing in a Spags defense, you need to have a crack open somewhere that you can try to wedge your way through and then prove on the field in live bullets flying real gameplay that you can do that. That you can be that guy you could be a professional and not look like a rookie. But also, again, Spags is usually pretty willing to admit that rookies are going to make rookie mistakes. And so I just want people to keep all of that in mind, even as Bolton had really good moments. There were also, again, those stretches of time where the entire group of linebackers were just having an impossible time. Oh, Mitch Morse, Mizzou Beard says. That's true. So was he most recent then? Maybe he's here more recently than the other guys I mentioned, I think. So
you can thank KC Fanatic on Twitch for that one.
Thanks, KC Fanatic. I knew I was going to forget one. If Seth is still listening, he'd be so disappointed in me. Although I'm not sure that, he doesn't care about college football at all. So I don't even know if Seth would know. I think it's interesting who does and doesn't get kind of the benefit of the doubt in terms of great plays, bad stretches, and I think that's kind of interesting. Be optimistic about Nick Bolton. Absolutely, have your eyes and arms open, ready to embrace that future. I just also would say don't be disappointed if his workload decreases whenever Willie Gay gets back, and he may hold steady, but he had some of those moments that you would expect with the talent you saw from him at Mizzou, the talent you saw in college. And then there are also those times where the entire group of linebackers were having a hard time breathing on Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt, which is, it's a team effort. Defensive line probably could have been keeping those linebackers a little bit cleaner. Not every mistake that Ben Neiman made is also Nick Bolton's fault. There's plenty to go around there, but I think that we do some interesting stuff in terms of how we talk about players that we expect to be good or want to be good, or that we think the team expects to be good or wants to be good, high draft picks and everything. We talk about them a little bit differently than we talk about, the guys that have been around for a while, just kind of playing a role. Specifically a guy like Ben Neiman, who's been here for a while and that people have some frustrations with. A perfectly fine, a nice debut with some good highlights for Nick Bolton, though, and I will absolutely sign up for that. My name is Joshua Brisco. I am the host of the Sports Radio 810 Postgame Show, which is what you're listening to right now. The Chiefs were victorious today. Let me tell you really quick some more places you can get in touch. If you want to call in, you can do that, but we're going to play Andy Reid's press conference here coming around in just a little bit, so I would say don't call in right now because you're going to have to wait a little while. If you want to get in touch right away, though, you can watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page, the Sports Radio 810 Twitch channel, or the 810 WHB YouTube channel. You can watch the show there and leave your comments, interact with each other, help me remember former Mizzou players who have been Chiefs recently that I should be able to remember for myself but totally can't, and sound off. Throw in some, Yasir Durant, thank you to Bradley on Twitter. That is a very recent one that I definitely knew and should have remembered. Oh well, I know my flaws, and there are a lot of them. But if you want to get in touch, you can do it that way, and we will take a break in just a second and then hear from Andy Reid. But I need to tell you that this Sports Radio 810 Chiefs postgame show is brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Let me tell you about this. The Missouri Lottery and Hy-Vee want to send you and a guest to Denver to watch the Chiefs take on the Broncos. Purchase a $2 Missouri Lottery Powerball ticket at participating Hy-Vee grocery and gas locations to get your chance to win. The show is also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more Powerball. Now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays.
Everyone knows Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa sale. Did you know it's also time to save hundreds, even thousands on patio furniture, pool tables, shuffleboard, and more? You can beef up your entertainment area with couches, sectionals, and theater seating now on sale at Family Leisure. Make it a September to remember with special 810 listener pricing at Family Leisure. Spas, basketball goals, play sets, trampolines, everything for family and fun together on sale at Family Leisure. K10 in Ridgeview in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome.
It's always smart to shop at Diamonds Direct, but right now it's smarter than ever with 5 years, 0 interest financing and no money down on any purchase. No kidding. It's the best offer ever. Keep your money and finance the entire purchase, even the tax, for 5 years without paying a dime in interest. Get a $10,000 certified diamond for only $168 a month. It's definitely the smart way to buy, so don't miss it. On approved credit, details at diamondsdirect.com. Diamonds Direct at 119th and Row.
Attention men, over half of you will suffer from erectile dysfunction. There is a solution, the Kansas City Men's Clinic. If you're having trouble getting or maintaining an erection, or both, and regardless of age, medical condition, or performance issue, they can help. Call the Kansas City Men's Clinic today and schedule your confidential consultation. Call 816-608-8189. That's 816-608-8189, or go to thekansascitymensclinic.com.
Preps KC is the ultimate high school football coverage in the Kansas City area. The best articles, podcasts, live scores, stats, video highlights. Log on to PrepsKC.com or the Preps KC app. This year we are thrilled to have our 2-hour weekly radio show, Preps KC's Football, Friday night, airing each Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. on ESPN Kansas City 94.5 and 1510 a.m. It's the most comprehensive high school football radio show in the Midwest. So remember, from Fridays from 4 to 6 p.m. on ESPN Kansas City 94.5 and 1510 a.m.
Crown Sports Auction, the Midwest leader in game-used memorabilia. Consign with the Kansas City Pros. Register at crownsportsauction.com. It's free. Call for free appraisals 913-961-0929. 913-961-0929.
Rich Eisen from Westwood One with a preview of Monday Night Football. Week 1 has Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens traveling to Sin City to take on the Raiders. Las Vegas finally gets to show off their new home stadium to fans, and Coach John Gruden hopes some new weapons on offense will make for a big opening night. Kevin Harlan and Kurt Warner have the call on Monday Night Football.
Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810, WHB.
Dreaming of a brand new modern apartment home with amazing views and natural light? Stop dreaming and come see the reality of Reverb Apartments. Located in the thriving Crossroads Art District at 18th and Walnut, Reverb is walking distance to all your favorite restaurants and entertainment. And right now, Reverb has some exclusive specials this month. 2 months rent-free plus parking, a savings of up to $3,000. Call 816-601-4333 for more details. That's 816-601-4333. Visit Reverb today at 1800 Walnut or at reverbkc.com. More play and more power with Powerball with Double Play. For an extra $1, players have the chance to win up to $10 million in a separate drawing. Plus, players have 3 nights a week to play Powerball. Now Monday nights. Every ticket you play creates opportunities for Missouri students. So play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly.
There can be a lot of reasons why your drains are running slow. The good news is we can fix them all. Call the experts at Bob Hamilton for our $99 mainline drain clearing special. We'll inspect your drains with video camera technology to pinpoint exactly what is needed to clear those clogs and help prevent expensive drain repairs. Bob Hamilton, plumbing, heating, AC, rooter, and electrical. Call 913-888-4BOB to schedule your appointment.
Call 888-4BOB. Remember 913.
Third and 3. Mahomes out of the shotgun. Edwards-Helaire to his right. 3 receivers spread out to the left. Hill is out to the right. Edwards-Helaire sprints out of the backfield. Mahomes throws on a slant to Kelsey. Caught at the 1. Stings into the end zone. Touchdown, Kansas City. It's Kelsey again. From 8 yards out. And for the first time today, the Chiefs have the lead.
3rd and 3. Red zone. Mahomes rolls out, finds Travis Kelce, who is always open. That is my Andy Reid call of the game, brought to you by Olathe Subaru. At Subaru of Olathe, they put you in the driver's seat. Shop their huge selection of vehicles your way, hassle-free, online, anytime at SubaruofOlathe.com. That is my call of the game from Andy Reid. We can now hear from Andy Reid. His opening statement here covers a whole lot, from the status of Anthony Hitchens to what he saw in today's game. Here's the first few minutes from head coach Andy Reid.
The Chiefs Locker Room Report is brought to you by Twin Peaks. No one does football like Twin Peaks. What?
Never mind. Hold on 1 second. We will momentarily get you to Andy Reid, which we will do now, which is brought to you by Robert Brogdon Buick GMC and Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia.
Andy Reid is presented by Robert Brogdon Buick GMC and Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia. Visit BrogdonAutomotive.com. And by Andy's Frozen Custard. Enjoy the world's finest frozen custard at Andy's. Made fresh every hour. 8 KC locations and 2 more coming soon. Andy and Andy's, a winning combination.
It's the first week for us also. If the Chiefs' defense could be that out of sync, we deserve at least one improper button push. But now we've got it figured out. Here's Andy Reid's opening statement after tonight's game.
All right. As far as the injuries go, really don't have a whole lot to mention. Hitch kind of tweaked his elbow, came out, but other than that, that was about it. The guys that missed, Frank Clark, that hamstring just never got all the way back. He practiced and he tried, and took him out and tried warming him up and all that, and thing just wasn't quite right. So I held him out. And then the Badger, I held him out. That was completely me doing that. So he wanted to play. Both of these guys wanted to play, but just I just thought it was the right thing to do. I don't want to take any steps back, and Badger's been out for 2 weeks, and it was just best that we went this route. And then Austin Blythe, you guys know about that. So, listen, what a game. I mean, it was my hat goes off to the Cleveland Browns. I mean, Kevin's done a tremendous job with that football team, and I mean, it was just a heck of a game. The fans our fans were unbelievable. I mean, we let them out of the cage. I mean, it was they were wild, and I loved every minute of it. And you know, it made a difference when you can get a punter to drop a ball. That's pretty good by your fans. 10 had a big day with 11 catches for almost 200 yards, and I'm not sure I've seen a defensive lineman take over like Chris Jones did that second half. I mean, he was possessed there, and just unreal job he did. And then getting Hilaire the ball more in the second half I thought was important. So, again, Clyde, I thought, did a nice job. How many yards did he have after contact? I mean, that was he was running hard and aggressive. Listen, I thought Juan had a big play, that pass breakup right at the end there. I mean, that was a heck of a job. And then Hughes with the interception. I mean, welcome to Kansas City, right? I mean, that was a beautiful thing for him. Our punt coverage with 88 and 26. I mean, those guys were just all over the place on our coverage team. So, and then Kels had 70, almost 80 yards there, so on 6 catches, but did a nice job. We banked on him on some big plays there, both he and Tyreek. So, gameplay came in, made a couple tweaks. That's for the second half, and EB with the run game part of it, wanting to feed 25 and get him going. I mean, and I thought that made a big difference. And then I thought Tobe had a nice package of things in for our special teams. Field position ended up being important for us down the stretch.
There's Andy Reid's opening statement. I can hit you a couple things real quick from that. First of all, mentioning the logic of holding out Tyrann Mathieu. He didn't practice for 2 weeks, so I understand that. I think that logic there is totally reasonable. Really quick, I know that this is me being a character of myself, but they didn't get the running game going, and it didn't matter. Like, it's just a very weird thing to say there. Like, Clyde Edwards-Helaire ends up 14 carries for 43 yards. That's 3.1 yards per carry. And if you say, well, late in the game it really mattered. Their last touchdown drive, he had a carry for 7 yards and then a carry for 0. Then you heard the play at the beginning of the segment that we just played, which was obviously converted through the air to Travis Kelce. And then the drive before that was one play, 75 yards to Tyreek Hill. And then the drive before that was a long touchdown drive where they did get the ball or a long field goal drive where they did get the ball to Clyde way more often, but ultimately just had to settle for a long field goal, which is weird. And then the last full offensive drive they had, not counting the kneel downs, they handed it off twice, once for 4 yards and once for 0 yards, and then they punted. So there are times where someone will say, like, oh, they got the running game going, whatever, and then I can say, like for the Browns today, the reason they were nearly winning that game was not because of their running game, but the running game was good, right? There is running games do matter. Individual running backs very rarely do, but that's a different conversation to be had. I don't know what Andy Reid is talking about there, honestly. Like, I am genuinely, no BS, not trying to be funny. Like, I don't know what he is saying in that conversation at all. It was not a good game for the Chiefs running backs on the ground. There were a couple of times through the air. Clyde ended up having 3 catches for 29 yards. You'll take that. There were a couple of nice little design plays. One of them went for 14. All pretty decent there. That's fine. I really don't know what he is seeing that makes him think that the offense somehow, like, the thing that got everything moving was the fact that they were running the football. Because they didn't do it very much, which is totally fine with me, and they also didn't do it very well. So I just think it's just a weird thing to highlight that I'm honestly confused by. Anyway, I can move on and talk about that on Almost Entirely Sports at some point this week. We'll see, because that was a strange one. Next up here from Andy Reid, he was asked in the pressers if he could tell early in the game that the Browns were going to throw everything at them.
Yeah, they're one of the lead teams in the league last year with 4th down. So, and we normally do that thing. I chose on the 4th and 2 to kick it, but I just thought at that time we need to do that right there. So, but they've you knew that. I mean, you know how the games are going to be. I mean, they were measuring us against them, and we were kind of doing the same. I mean, you don't know this first game, so we knew they were a good football team, and our guys, really pressed through, and it was warm out there too. And I gave Barry a little credit after the game with our guys, Barry Rubin. Just our guys were in good shape, and it showed that fourth quarter.
And if other teams are smart, they're going to try to replicate some of those things that the Browns are able to do. If you are a team against the Chiefs and you acknowledge that you're the lesser team, which is true for everybody, maybe the Bucs have their argument from the Super Bowl, but I think this iteration of these teams, they're at best very, very even. If you are an inferior team going up against the Chiefs, you need to be as creative as possible, and you need to take smart risks. Not every single risk, but you need to be very aggressive and take smart, calculated risks. The Browns did a good job of that tonight, and it almost worked, but then Patrick Mahomes did Patrick Mahomes things. Next up from Andy Reid, he was asked how he would grade the offensive line tonight, dealing with Cleveland's front seven.
Yeah, so listen, that's a good front seven. So I thought they held their own and really did a nice job. I mean, to get the run game going like that against that crew, I thought was big. We had the one sack at the end that kind of, but that shouldn't ruin the rest of what they did. I mean, I was pretty impressed. Now, Yang he probably had the toughest job, all of them. And he bared down and pushed through. And I mean, these are young guys now. Young guys in there, and against a veteran group of linemen, so a defensive lineman. So, yeah, just keep growing. Let's just keep growing. We're not going to rest on this. We got to get better. There were too many mistakes. We had holding penalties, procedure penalties. We got to get better. So we'll hammer that. For right now, we're going to enjoy it because it was a tough one. And these wins are hard to get in this league, so we're going to enjoy this one, but we'll get back and make sure we grind through some of the things we need to get better at.
I think there are 3 or 4 little moments that I can remember from the offensive line that weren't great tonight, but let me break them down. You had the Joe Thuney hold where he was not holding until the very end of the play, and Mahomes ran right off his hip, and then he held the lineman that he was blocking just for a little bit, because if he hadn't, he would have just consumed Mahomes right there in all likelihood. There was the one, I think it was the actual sack that ended up kind of looking like it was on Lucas Niang, but Mahomes sort of stepped up into some space there that was getting a little messy that I could see, again, being at least a little bit on both of them. And then there was the time that Mahomes got, sandwiched by I think it was Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, where it looked like both tackles kind of lost that rep. But the thing that we've talked about a ton over the course of this offseason, and also that, that Mahomes has even talked about some, these are different tackles. They are trying to, they're not trying to just stonewall guys there either. Often you'll see if you got a speed rush, Orlando Brown is not going to be able to just stand up Myles Garrett because he's a monster. So you let them use their momentum against themselves and try to run them behind the pocket, and you give Mahomes a little tiny pocket up in where the depth of the pocket is kept by the interior guys. And instead of just trying to run guys out of the play on the edges, you're kind of running them behind. And Mahomes has a tendency to take a super deep drop. It's something that he can afford to do because his arm is ridiculous. So if you take if you're on a 10-yard drop, you want to throw the ball 40 yards downfield. Most guys can't do that. Mahomes can do that easily. And so I think that there's still going to be a little bit of a learning curve there in terms of the communication and how those guys are all working together. It is a work in progress, and that's fine. This is their first full game working together. They got plenty of work in camp. They got a little bit of work in the preseason. I'm not really worried about what the line looks like right now, as long as it's not a problem, which it certainly was not tonight against a very good front seven. I'm worried about what it looks like in December, and I think it's going to be better than it was right now. And even if it's not, what it was tonight was fine. Tonight wasn't the payoff that you'll want from all the investment you've made in that unit, but I think it was fine tonight and should only get better from here. You heard Andy Reid mention in his opening statement that he's not sure he's seen a lot of guys taking over a game quite like Chris Jones. He was asked about Chris Jones taking over the game in that second half, and also the defensive line rotation to keep him and Jarran Reed fresh.
Yeah, just listen, I think it's just a mindset that something's got to come up here and take over. He was one of the captains today, so he takes a lot of pride in where he's come from with this organization, and he's not the young buck anymore. He's a guy, right? So he's there, one of the veteran players, and he showed great leadership with that and fired everybody up.
Coach, you mentioned that you come out there at the beginning of the second half and had a long drive. The defense was really off the field for about half an hour. And then Chris and Jarran, I noticed they were rotating out in the last Cleveland drive. How much of keeping them fresh for the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I thought Brendan did a nice job with that. He had a great rotation going there. Inside and outside guys, so I think that helps you. We did the same thing with Kels, kind of rotated him on the offensive side and rotated the backs, and so that stuff helps down as you go. Receivers always do it, but that stuff helps, especially early in the season like this when it's has a tendency to be a little bit warm.
Somebody in the Twitch chat earlier I saw kind of mentioned, like, hey, is the difference between Chris Jones and Aaron Donald that Chris Jones can take over a game and Aaron Donald constantly lives in the backfield? I thought that was kind of interesting in light of what Andy Reid said there. You're going to get a rotation. And also, I do wonder, Aaron Donald is unbelievable. But I wonder if we all watched Rams games like we watched Chiefs games, would the 5 plays a game that Aaron Donald makes where he wrecks an entire play, would that seem like fewer if we were watching every play the Rams defense was running? I don't know. And I think Aaron Donald is, again, a bowling ball covered in knives. Like, it's just, I don't know what you do with him at all. But Chris Jones is as close to that as I think you're going to find pretty much anywhere in the sport. He and Myles Garrett both. And again, like Myles Garrett, we talked about a couple times where he was disruptive today, but he's not. He wasn't living on Patrick Mahomes like a backpack, like a mollusk of some sort, that even elite players end up making flashes and splashes. And Chris Jones is incredibly good at that, and I'm really excited to see him continue to do that over the course of this year. They've had to make some defensive adjustments in the second half, obviously. We saw a much better unit coming out on the other side of halftime. Andy Reid talked a little bit about the adjustments that they made.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go into what I'll let him do that with you. I don't want to give anything away, but he did have some nice adjustments for the pass game part of it. Third down was really the hammering point. We weren't doing very well on third down and in the first half, and he added a couple little things there. So I would tell you that was probably the biggest part of it.
Also, obviously, this team is this is a rematch from the divisional round last year, but these two teams are very, very different. These Chiefs and these Browns, and Andy Reid was asked how much this game felt similar to last year's playoff matchup.
Yeah, listen, it was loud down there. Very, very loud. You guys were there, So it was that kind of atmosphere, and I think you watched all the college games, and you felt that you kind of. Arrowhead's loud anyways, but now you load this thing up and you said you can't come here for a year, and you just open the gates and, here they are.
There they are. You open the gates, and there they are. We're hearing from Andy Reid right now here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show here on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. I'm Joshua Brisco. Beards McFly hitting the buttons. Rudy Salazar running around the station making sure we've got everything for you as we continue to bring you Andy Reid right here, right now. If you want to listen to Sunday Night Football, by the way, right now it's over on 1510 AM and 94.5 FM. That's ESPN Kansas City. We'll bring you the second half, I think we can say. We'll bring you the second half of Rams-Bears down here tonight, as well as we eventually will wrap things up. We're not quite there yet. We're not even done hearing from Andy Reid, who also talked about Tyreek Hill's 75-yard touchdown bomb on the drive that lasted all of one play.
Yeah, no, that was big. To be able to sustain a drive like that and then score, especially to start a half, that's the second half. That's a positive thing. You feel like you've gone in and gotten something accomplished in there, and gives the guys confidence that we can move the ball better than what we were doing.
I was talking about the 120, 75-yard pass play to Tyreek.
Yeah, that was nice too. Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, well, it was nice. It wasn't what he was originally responding to, but it was a nice drive. Next up here, Andy Reid on how the game changes for a coach whenever you are coaching a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, where you know that no game is truly out of hand.
Yeah, well, you love his attitude because he always feels like, we're in it, and he does such a great job with the guys around him. He's a great communicator. I mean, you guys know this when you talk to him. But he's a great communicator during tough times on the sideline. So we can sit there and we can talk, and I can kind of feel where his mind's going with things, and that helps. That's important, especially in a game like this.
Does it put you at ease in a different way?
I don't know, it puts me at ease, but I enjoy that part of it, yeah. I think that's a real positive trait that he has.
At ease is funny because, I don't know if you can ever be at ease down 12 or 14 points or whatever, but it's nice to know that you've always got money in the bank to try to play catch up with if you have Patrick Mahomes. No pun intended on the word catch up, but I said it like that, and so I'll take it. Also here from Andy Reid, he was asked about the momentum of these big plays and what that's created for the team, and how much having that full stadium that you heard him mention a little bit earlier helps them maximize those moments.
Yeah, you kind of felt that. You felt it with the defensive stand. You felt it with the Tyreek's touchdown there. I mean, what a great job he did getting open on that, just coming back to the ball, and Pat running full speed to make that throw back across there. I mean, something. And how many times have we seen that? It's pretty spectacular. But having the fans part of that is great. And here at GEHA Stadium, at Arrowhead. All right, make sure you put that in there so I don't get in trouble. Listen, I mean that's it doesn't take much to get everybody fired up, and those kind of things sure help.
That's pretty funny. Andy Reid does not want to get in trouble for forgetting the GEHA part of GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. He didn't get it exactly right, but he put in an effort, and I'm guessing that the Chiefs' PR staff appreciated that. So that's pretty funny. Last thing here from Andy Reid, a different vibe than the giggles of the GEHA stadium thing there. But there was a very weird moment on the sidelines really early in the game, the altercation that led to the safety for the Browns being ejected. It seemed like looked like it was Greg Lewis, the former receivers, now running backs coach for the team, that ended up in the altercation, and just a bit of a wild sideline little spat there, and Reid was asked about that entire situation.
Yeah, so the fellow that was involved with it came over and he was on the chest of our player, and that's what happened, right? So he was trying to get him off, and he didn't want to get off, and so he kind of lifted him just a little bit, and then he got hit back, or he got hit, and but he was there to help get that fella who was leaning on our guy. That's why there was a penalty, right? So the officials fixed it, which I thought was important. And, you don't do that on our sideline. You don't do that to our guys. I mean, bottom line. So,
You ever had one of your coaches get in that type of altercation with one of
Well, he was going down to help our guy. And the other guy wouldn't do it. So it'd be like you keeping this up. I might come down and give you the business right here. Call your brother. All right.
Andy Reid is presented by Robert Brogdon Buick GMC and Robert Brogdon Olathe Kia. Visit BrogdonAutomotive.com. And by Andy's Frozen Custard. Enjoy the world's finest frozen custard at Andy's. Made fresh every hour. 8 KC locations and 2 more coming soon. Andy and Andy's, a winning combination.
That's pretty good. That's pretty funny. You come over, you don't hit our guys, and if you keep this up, I don't actually want to see Andy Reid and Adam Teicher have a little scuffle, but the fact that it would happen would I think make me pretty happy, because I don't see either of them being especially big swingers, but that's kind of, don't raise your eyebrows at me, Beards. You know what I meant. That's fun. I like the relationship good enough for an NFL head coach to threaten a very long time beat writer in Adam Teicher. That's funny. That's good, man. That's good stuff right there. Also good stuff, everything we're doing here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. We'll take a break in just a second, but first I want to squeak in a call here and get Mark on the show. Mark, what's on your mind?
Hey, JB, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm driving back from the game. I'd say two things. This game seemed, from the Chiefs' perspective anyway, to be a game about our superstars. I mean, Kelsey, Hill, Mahomes, Chris Jones, they were major factors in the game and showed up like they should. The other thing, I guess it's a criticism. I think the refs did okay, but how is that play at the end of the game on Tyreek Hill not pass interference or illegal contact? It seems so easy. I mean, everybody in the stadium saw it. I know I'm a Chiefs homer, but
are you talking about the one that was far downfield down the right sideline?
No, it was a quick pass, and I think it was critical. I think it was on the possession before we punted back to them in the fourth quarter, and I want to say it was second down or third down. Just grabbed Tyreek Hill and stopped him from cutting in, and he ended up missing the ball. So I don't understand how they just seem so obvious to me. Of course, I'm in the stands.
Sure.
Still.
Well, I appreciate the call, Mark. I'd have to go back and double check on that. I to be honest, I don't have that play in my head real quick right now. So I'm not 100% sure. There was the one down the sideline where it was a very long developing play that some people thought might have been pass interference. And I'll admit, I wasn't too heated about that one because this is a very subjective thing. And I'm not saying this is how it should even be played. But, if a defender is making an incredible play and then ultimately ends up getting there a little bit early, I end up kind of giving them a little wiggle room just in terms of what I am or am not kind of heated about. And that dude ran with Tyreek Hill for 4 seconds and then ended up going in for a pass breakup. And he might have gotten there a little bit early. I think that could go either way and wouldn't have really hurt my feelings. But I can't visualize the play that you're talking about there. So my apologies for having I don't know. Maybe I blacked out for a second. Maybe that was the one portion of the game that the blood pressure had gotten so high that I just couldn't. I just started seeing red. I'm not sure. One more quick call, and then we're going to get to Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the break. We'll get to Zach real quick. Zach, you're on the Sports Radio 810 postgame show. What's on your mind?
Hey, I just wanted to call in, and, it's just after 9/11, and I'm a huge Chiefs fan, but I just want to say how disappointed I am with Chiefs Kingdom. I bet there was at least 25% of the fans that didn't take their hat off for the national anthem. And I understand the political division in this country, but at no point should that be something as a community we should do. And if everybody could just come together on that issue, I don't know. It was a bad look, and I hope it wasn't on TV.
Yeah, I didn't notice it. I'm also thinking we were probably scrambling around right as the game was getting ready, so I'm not sure if that ended up over the broadcast or not. But appreciate you listening, Zach. Appreciate the call.
Yep, thanks.
We will take a break here so we can come back around with Patrick Mahomes and Kevin Stefanski we've got. Rudy has secured Kevin Stefanski audio. Excellent. I sound so excited because for a while that was a very up in the air, sort of confused question mark, and so I'm excited to hear. I thought Stefanski did a pretty good job over the course of the game today. And so we will hear from both Mahomes and Kevin Stefanski on the other side. What are you so chipper about, Beards?
Nothing, you'll see.
Is it something with Kevin Stefanski?
Yes, it is.
Really?
It's a very, very long interview that he does.
I'm guessing it's not. I'm guessing that's not going to be true. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes, and I'm assuming 2 minutes from Kevin Stefanski whenever we come back here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show, which is brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play, more power. Powerball now on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays, and brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Brought to you by Casey's own CBD American Shaman. Come on into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD. Everything is better with the feather.
Owning a business comes with pressure. There's a limit to what I can do and still keep employees engaged. Fortunately, there's Insperity. They put 30-plus years of HR experience to work to help me with hiring, training, HR administration, and compliance, while giving my employees competitive benefit options. And because I'm able to focus on other priorities, my employees can thrive and my business can grow. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
Get ready for kickoff, KC. Rally House has the game day gear you're looking for, including Chiefs 2021 sideline gear and the latest college styles.
Kansas, Missouri, Kansas State, Chiefs and Royals make KC great. Rally House, it's your city, it's your house, it's the Rally House.
Gear up in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
Sports Radio 810 is proud to be Kansas City's home for the National Football League.
Winds up, he throws a long pass, wide open Hill, catches the ball at the 22 of San Francisco. What a play by Mahomes!
From Monday night to Sunday night, and every game in between. Keep it right here on your exclusive home for the NFL playoffs, and the Super Bowl.
The Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl.
Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hi there, Gary Giles with Giles & Jewelry. Everybody knows Giles & Jewelry is the place to buy an engagement ring. Thousands of diamond rings, quality second to nobody. Come on into Giles, 95th and Antioch, right in front of the big high B. Giles & Jewelry, we're the jewelers you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Giles Jewelry, for the best that's yet to come.
Robert Brogdon Buick GMC is proud to be family-owned, serving the Kansas City area for over 25 years. At Brogdon, you'll always find incredible incentives like 0% for 72 months on many models, including the new 2021 Buick Enclave and Envision or GMC Terrain. And they don't just sell cars, they buy them too. Even if you don't trade your vehicle to Brogdon, they'll still buy yours. Visit the #1 General Motors dealership in Kansas on I-35 in Santa Fe and Olathe or at robertbrogdon.com. Must qualify and finance through GMF for special APR.
With its dedication to bringing wellness to Kansas City, CBD American Shaman is excited to announce the opening of Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness at 117th and Row in Camelot Court. Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness offers medical aesthetics and IV nutrient therapy, and there is a full-service CBD American Shaman store there too. Start your journey to wellness with Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness. Call 913-227-9150 or go to shamantotalwellness.com. Life is better with the feather.
Looking for some new gear? Check out the Sports Radio 810 Fan Shop. We have hoodies, long and short sleeve t-shirts, and much, much more. And it's all just a click away. Go to 810whb.com/shop to see the whole selection. That's right, 810whb.com/shop. The 810 Fan Shop has gear for everyone, young and old. And we have new gear dropping all the time. Go to 810whb.com/shop to find the latest gear and rep your hometown radio station, Sports Radio 810 WHB, and your favorite teams. Go to 810whb.com/shop.
So it'll be a third and goal. It should be a second and goal from the 5.
They run a lot of shovel passes, period, to a variety of people. I've never seen it to the third tackle who came in to be eligible.
Mahomes under center, 12th play of the drive, takes the snap. Play action, sets up in the pocket. Backpedaling, getting away from Garrett, run to the right. Now he tucks it inside the 5, slithers through, and gets into the end zone. Touchdown, Mahomes!
Slithered through? He slithered through. Yeah, all right. I'll take it. It's an excellent play from Patrick Mahomes. Also, if you're a betting person, just take the over on Mahomes rushing yards every week. It feels like it almost always comes through because he's able to do that with his legs. Teams are afraid of who he's going to throw to. He slides through the pocket and will find some daylight, and is also their most valuable running back. We will hear from Patrick Mahomes here in just 1 second right here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. It's presented by the Missouri Lottery. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. More play and more power with Powerball with Double Play. For an extra $1, players have the chance to win up to $10 million in a separate drawing. Missouri Lottery, play responsibly. Let's go to the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs and his post-game press conference. But first, here's something important.
Patrick Mahomes' press conference is brought to you by your Kansas City Acura dealers. They are partnering with Patrick Mahomes in support of his 15 in the Mahomes Foundation. Test drive to make a difference and enter to win a Mahomes jersey. And by Xfinity. Xfinity Internet. Stay connected with Wi-Fi coverage that delivers the speed, reliability, and coverage you need. Can your internet do that?
Let's go to Patrick Mahomes here. He was asked first here about the 75-yard touchdown pass and Tyreek Hill's ability to adjust to the ball in the air like he did in that explosive play.
It's funny you said that. I literally just saw that. And sometimes it'd be like that is what I have to say. I mean, sometimes you just got to throw it up. He's a little dude, but he goes and catches it, and he's pretty fast, so usually good things happen.
He said he's always going to adjust to the ball better, deep ball like that, the DB is.
Yeah, I think it's that. He's really good at adjusting to the ball. I mean, he's world class. If not his speed, that's probably the best thing that he does is adjusting when the ball's in the air. And then I think it's kind of that thing where if he gets past you, it's kind of like you're trying to get there with everything you have. So the DB was running as hard as he could because if I threw a good ball, he probably would have thrown it over the top. And he was able to adjust and make a play.
Let's keep hearing from Mahomes on the 75-yard touchdown because I like the idea that Tyreek Hill's best traits are the speed and the ability to adjust in the ball in the air. I think is pretty cool. Mahomes also was asked about the impact of that same play in gaining momentum and the statement the Chiefs overall made in this win.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I think we just have a lot of belief in this team. We've been in those situations before. And we think that we can win no matter what the situation is. And then getting that play to Tyreek kind of got the crowd back into it. And when you're at Arrowhead and that crowd's rolling, it gets the defense going, and it kind of translates to the offense. And so I'm just glad that we found a way to win against a really good football team.
I think you talk about them with teams. There are some from last years who see Cleveland going to the Super Bowl. That being the case, what kind of statement do you think that this makes on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's week one. I mean, obviously that's a really good football team. We had to battle and find a way to get a win. But a lot of things happen during the season. I think week one is important because you want to win a game against a team that you think that has a chance to be in the playoff and you think you do. So this could matter at the end of the season. But at the end of the day, it takes a week-by-week, day-by-day mentality to get there in the end.
And overall, you could all the cliches of week by week and day by day and everything. They are cliches, but also you get a victory like this that you can take with you into next week, a game against the Ravens that is ultimately going to be very impactful to the AFC standings in the long haul. And after the Bills lost to the Steelers earlier today, I think the Ravens end up being the Chiefs' biggest threat, presuming that they beat the Raiders tomorrow night, which I will presume that they will do. Wouldn't shock me, I suppose, if they lost, but seeing all of that come together in the way that I expected to, you got to take the wins that you get here, week by week, day by day, whatever cliche it is that gets you to that point. Again, on the 75-yarder, Mahomes was asked to break down that play and his reads and what it was that ultimately led him to chucking the ball downfield to Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, they put a little bit different coverage. They had been playing to our empty kind of package there. They threw a little wrinkle, and they covered up Kels pretty good. And I looked at McCole, and he was getting covered pretty good. And I kind of started scrambling. I joked around Tyreek. I said, I saw this little hand just pop up like this. And I was like, if I can just throw it far enough. And so I threw it. I didn't throw it far enough, but he adjusted, made the catch, and then once he's in space, it's a touchdown.
And a little hand, however far downfield it was, 50, 60 yards downfield, however far he threw that ball, all it took. Because he can throw it that far, and Tyreek Hill can adjust to it and catch it and then take it to the house. One play, 75 yards. Andy Reid, I think, brought up the running game 3 times in his press conference. I'll take one play for 75, personally. I'm fine with that. Mahomes was also asked, obviously the defense did not start off very well. I'm assuming that was sort of the logic behind this question. He was asked if he talks to the defense during games to try to motivate them, as he's been seen doing on the sidelines with the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I always talk to those guys and tell them, like, we're gonna keep scoring. We're gonna keep giving y'all chances. But at the end of the day, I think guys just stepped up. I mean, we were out without Tyron. We were without Frank, who obviously are great football players, but they're great leaders on that defense. So a lot of young guys had to step in and play, and then guys like Chris stepped up and made a few sacks. Then those young guys stepped up and started making plays, and then Mike with the pick at the end.
Back to the offensive side of the ball, we talked a little bit about the Chiefs' offensive line. It wasn't perfect. It also wasn't any sort of disaster. Mahomes was asked how he thought that offensive line performed in its first game together.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job. There was times I would drift it back just a little bit too far, and they were getting the guys kind of that 10-yard area, and I had to step up pretty quickly. But we'll continue to work on that. They're doing a great job of being firm in the front and kind of edging those guys. So I got to step up into the pocket, and they did a great job today against, like you said, a really good defensive line.
Good defensive line, good test, and again, I mean, I said this over the last week leading up to this. We were going to learn some things about the Chiefs' defensive line tonight, and we did. Or excuse me, the offensive line tonight, and we did. And they held relatively pat to be able to hold up against this line in a way that gave the offense time, gave Mahomes time to make a comeback out of a game that was looking pretty sketchy for a little while. On the play you heard just a little bit ago, Mahomes was able to slither into the end zone. I mean, that's fine. There's lots of different ways you can say that someone made it to the end zone. Slither in, I guess is fine. And Mahomes was asked about specifically Trey Smith's block on that touchdown run.
Yeah, I kind of went through the reads. They covered it really well, the play that we ran, and so it wasn't supposed to be held that long. So those guys were kind of coming off the ball really fast, and they made some great blocks. And so I was able to kind of make that one guy miss. And then I was running, and the whole time looking for someone to throw to or slide. And then it just seems like I kind of found a way to get in the end zone. So it gave me false confidence, I said, because I tried to cut it back again and got popped by two dudes. So I'll try to stay away from that.
Yeah, I definitely don't want Mahomes taking those big hits anymore, but if he's able to find a little gap that, he converts a first down, runs in a touchdown, I think that ended up being, he had at least 3 legit carries in this game. He ended up with 5 on the box score. I'm not sure what the length of all of those were, but the touchdown run, of course, the first down scramble, and then the one there that he did get popped pretty good, but also popped back up, which is excellent. Also here from Mahomes, he was asked about getting production from Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. I really liked the earlier thought process of, this was a game about the Chiefs superstars really coming through in a major way, and he was asked if only getting production from Kelce and Hill and winning is sustainable, or if they're ultimately going to need others to step up.
No, I mean, those guys had opportunities. If you watch the film, those guys are open. I mean, there was a play, I think I threw to Tyreek down the middle, kind of down to the left sideline at the time for us. There's a sideline where I hit Tyreek, but if I would have just had a little bit more time, McCole was popping for a touchdown. And there's a play to D-Rob where I've hit that play to D-Rob 1,000 times where I kind of underthrew him, and it was short. So, I mean, those guys are going to make plays. I mean, in this offense, with guys like Tyreek and Travis taking so much attention, they'll make plays, and I have the trust in them that they'll do it.
It's interesting because, again, I do think that whenever you're working your offense through Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, that's perfectly fine. That is better than what most any offense in the sport has to work through. And we've spent so much time talking about Hardman and Robinson and Pringle and Noah Gray or whatever. And I understand that. You want to have depth and you want to have guys that can step up. But I do think that at the very least, I'd put it this way, that if you want to have those guys to step up whenever you can't get to Hill and Kelce, but if those options are open, they are available, they are there to be absolutely dominant Hall of Fame talents that will run your entire offense in an incredible way, that's okay. There is nothing inherently good or bad about depth versus superstardom. If you could get a third star, or if they sign Allen Robinson next offseason or whatever, that would be a blast. But in the meantime, I don't necessarily think there's an inherent virtue to getting the ball to DeMarcus Robinson. If he's open, you want to get to him. There was the play where he was trying to get Robinson to flatten out a little bit across the goal line, and he didn't. You want a receiver that's able to execute that, obviously. But if you can continue to be dominant with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, I would not feel any guilt about that. You'd love to have depth. You'd love to have as many stars as you can, absolutely. But it's not like they need to get away from using Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce too much. You know what I mean? Until defenses can stop them, which they're not going to. But if eventually you find the defense that can limit them on some level, then you can have somebody else step up. But usually the way that this works is an opposing defense is going to have something to sacrifice if they're going to double Hill and Kelce or find a way schematically to try to limit them. Maybe it's getting more pressure on Mahomes. Well, if you're creating more pressure, you're probably rushing more than just 4, and now you're losing the numbers game in the secondary. Can you get to Byron Pringle then? That's when that matters. But I digress. That's kind of an interesting. When Mahomes was asked if this game felt like a playoff game to him and how they stay poised in the situations like they were in today.
Yeah, I think it's like kind of what I said. It's the belief that we have in each other. We believe as an offense, defense is going to get a stop when it comes to it, and the defense believes that we're going to go down there and find a way to score. And so I think that belief in each other and going out there and battling against a good football team. And I think what made it feel like a playoff game was the crowd. I mean, it was insane. It was one of the best crowds I've seen since I've been here, and I think that was a momentum swing that we kind of got in our favor.
Another guy that really helps swing momentum in their favor is, of course, Travis Kelce. Mahomes was asked about what it is that makes Travis Kelce so effective in the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of depends week by week, but I mean, he understands coverages so well, and so we were playing a team that plays a lot of zone coverages, and they're flipping zones and changing. They have great players. He can kind of read it on the fly, and so I think the one touchdown I hit him after the turnover with the fumble off the punter. He was supposed to go kind of in more, and he just saw that how they had pushed in the line with their linebackers that he could kind of just stay vertical, and I just put it on him, and he scored.
I don't know how you cover Travis Kelce. I really don't. There was the sack. That was the other sack that I was thinking about earlier was the one that Romo said that's really on Travis Kelce because Mahomes thought he knew where he was going to be, but then Kelce broke the other way, and then Mahomes held on to the football. That was the only time tonight that I remembered going like, you know what? Travis Kelce wasn't open there or he did the wrong thing. Because they're on the same page so often, it's unbelievable to me. It's one of the most fascinating things in the entire sport to me, the telepathic communication that Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes have. One more from Patrick Mahomes. He was asked a little bit about his view of that whole interaction on the sidelines and what was going on there in that scuffle.
You said that was G. Lou? I didn't even know it was G. Lou. I was there was a big scrum, so I didn't get to see it all. But I mean, I think it's just we fight for each other. I mean, we battle for each other. It's a brotherhood, and I don't think we liked how the guy got up on top of Clyde. And I don't think he was really trying to do anything but get him off Clyde if it was him. But it escalated, got settled down, and we were able to go out and move on and find a way to get points.
Patrick Mahomes' press conference is brought to you by your Kansas City Acura dealers. They are partnering with Patrick Mahomes in support of his 15 in the Mahomes Foundation. Test drive to make a difference and enter to win a Mahomes jersey. And by Xfinity. Xfinity Internet. Stay connected with Wi-Fi coverage that delivers the speed, reliability, and coverage you need. Can your internet do that?
Before we take a break, we'll take one more quick call. Zach's back on the line. Zach, what's on your mind this time?
Hey, yeah, just slightly negative, but just two questions for you. First, we ran the ball a lot, but we never really got it going fluidly.
Mm-hmm.
McKinnon, I felt like he should have got some more attempts. Williams, not real good on the blocks. And then the last part, Soren's real big about availability with Mondesi.
Mm-hmm.
At what point do we look at Willie Gay like the Mondesi for the Chiefs? And that's it.
Thank you, Zach. I'll say first real quick on the running backs. Yeah, I mean, they ran the ball 23 times as a team. 5 of those were from Mahomes. There was the Michael Burton run for a first down, Blake Bell run for a first down. Those little short yardage things worked out fine. Clyde was 14 for 43 for 3.1 yards per carry. It doesn't really bother me that the running game didn't get going a little bit more, just because I'd like to see Patrick Mahomes moving the ball. You want to be good, you want to be situationally good though, which they were situationally pretty good in short yardage. I didn't feel like there was a time where they tried or needed to run the ball and failed to. But also, I mean, if you're going to run it, you'd rather have those 14 Clyde carries go for, 60 yards instead of 40, but I totally understand that. Darrell Williams is still in most obvious passing third down situations. He's going to be the third down back. He was today because they trust him the most as a pass blocker. I think that's reasonable. I was a little surprised to not see McKinnon get really any meaningful work. He was out there a couple times, but he did not record a target or a carry, which I did find a little bit surprising. I thought that Zach was going to ask that question about the availability thing about Frank Clark because he's been dealing with a nagging hamstring for a long time. With Willie Gay, I think it's too soon to say that because here's the thing in terms of when I think that something like injury proneness is a fair or unfair thing to levy against a player. I think it's typically if it's the same thing or a similar thing again. Mondesi's got all these soft tissue muscle things. Patrick Mahomes had a toe injury that he had to get surgery on this offseason. I don't think having a toe injury makes you injury prone. It was an ankle late last season. Patrick Mahomes had an ankle injury a couple of years back. We didn't call him injury prone then. So I think that, if something is long-term nagging, that's very concerning. And if it does just keep racking up, you can... This kind of ends up coming around to where I'm at on some Mondesi things as well. You can label it however you want, but it doesn't really matter until there's a choice to be made. Willie Gay is going to be on a rookie contract for a couple more years after this one. If you want to say, well, can you rely on him? I think it's way too soon to make that call. And even if you decide that you can't later on, what are you going to do? Spend another second-round pick on a linebacker? You're going to do that 3 or 4 years in a row? And at this point, I just think it's too soon to make that call on him. And if it ends up being a long-term thing where he's just never fully healthy, then it becomes fair, and that will ultimately, be the thing that keeps him off the field or keeps him as only a fringe part of what this defense could be, never a full-time player, whatever. I just think it's really, really early to start getting to that point. I think that we're not anywhere particularly close to needing to be to that just yet. Here's what we'll do. The Sunday Night Football game either just did or is soon going to get to halftime. So we'll get you to the grand majority, I would say, of the second half of that game. But we need to take a break because whenever we come back here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show, we'll talk to our friend Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest about what he saw in tonight's game and what caught his eye, what he thought was interesting, and where the Chiefs go from here. It is the Sports Radio 810 Chiefs Postgame Show presented by the Missouri Lottery and also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman. Our team's score is your % off. The Chiefs scored 33 points today, so you get 33% off all day tomorrow. Just mention the Chiefs, mention that you heard this ad right here on the Sports Radio 810 Postgame Show, and get 33% off everything all day tomorrow at CBD American Shaman. CBD American Shaman, because life is better with the feather.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB, presented by the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman. Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bukaty. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
If you love golf and want to support sports in Kansas City, be sure to register for the Commission Classic Golf Tournament presented by Veracity on Monday, October 4th at Canyon Farms Golf Club. The Commission Classic will benefit the Kansas City Sports Commission and Foundation, the nonprofit organization who's working to bring big events to KC like the 2023 NFL Draft and the 2026 FIFA World Cup. To register, visit sportkc.org and click Commission Classic under the Events tab. It's the Commission Classic presented by Veracity on October 4th at Canyon Farms Golf Club.
If you're having trouble getting or maintaining an erection, or both, call the Kansas City Men's Clinic. Why? Their Missouri licensed physicians are experts at solving ED. It's what they do all day, every day. Solve men's ED, regardless of age or medical condition. Call the Kansas City Men's Clinic today and schedule your confidential consultation. Call 816-608-8189. That's 816-608-8189. Or go to thekansascitymensclinic.com.
Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park is the only Volvo dealership in Kansas City. Save thousands on new 2021 Volvos. Lease the Volvo S60 T5 Momentum for just $399 a month, or the Volvo XC40 T5 Momentum for just $499 a month for 36 months. And the Volvo XC90 T5 Momentum 7-passenger as low as 1.99% APR or lease for $750. The deals are unbeatable at Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park at 78th and Metcalf, or at PremierVolvoCarsOverlandPark.com. See dealer for details.
Hey, it's Bob with Culligan Water. After doing hundreds of water tests in the Kansas City area, I noticed a pattern. So I've developed water treatment packages that specifically target water issues we face here locally. All of my packages include 2 years of free service and maintenance. Contact me, Bob, at CulliganKansasCity.com/Bob. That's CulliganKansasCity.com/Bob. Let's talk about how to better your water. When you think of better water, think of Bob with Culligan Water.
The Whole Person connects people with disabilities to valuable resources needed for living independent lives and contributing to and enjoying the many opportunities this great community provides. They're focused on creating a fully accessible community where opportunities and choices are not limited by disability. The Whole Person delivers programs and services that enhance the confidence of people with disabilities by providing the skills needed to live, learn, and work in the Kansas City metro. The Whole Person serves both Missouri and Kansas. Learn more by visiting thewholeperson.org.
Tired of searching for sports updates in different places? The Xfinity Sports Zone gives you the ultimate sports hub experience. Find games, commentary, news, and highlights all in one place. Use the voice remote to get instant access to stats and scores. Just say, "Show me NASCAR" or "Soccer scores." Plus, get notifications with breaking news alerts and more when the game's about to start. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store for details. Restrictions apply. Requires Xfinity TV service with X1.
Goes for 19 out to the Cleveland 48. Takes the snap. Mayfield back to throw. Pumps. Now he's forced out to the left. Falling, throws it. Intercepted on the far side. Mike Hughes comes up with it for Kansas City. Mayfield tried to throw it as he was falling down, and he throws an interception. And the Chiefs take over with 1:09 remaining in a 4-point lead.
That was the play that did it. Locked up a win that for a little while in there did not feel like much of a sure thing. But of course the Chiefs figured it out because it's just sort of what they do. It's a fun time to be a fan of football in the great city of Kansas City and the surrounding area, I suppose. And today's game was a very stressful, very up and down example of that. And we will get to talk about it now with our very good friend, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. You can read his work at ChiefsDigest.com. And it's all brought to you by Bob Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, Rooter, and Electrical. You better buzz Bob, now offering electrical services, panels, wiring, generators, updating fixtures. They do it all, offering a whole home electrical inspection for just $99. Call 888-4BOB and remember the 913. I hope you remember me, Matt Derrick. It would be weird if you didn't, because we texted like earlier today and talked like last week. So it would be very strange if you suddenly had, Josh Brisco amnesia.
My fear is that, when I'm senile, which is not that far away, and there's not many things that I do remember, that you'll probably be the only thing that I do actually recall.
That would be incredibly cruel, and for your sake, I very much hope that is not in your future.
It seems inevitable, but you know what? I'd rather remember you than some other people, so I've got that going for me.
I could take that. I'll take that. I will absolutely take that, and I'll take that as a compliment as well. Tell me, Matt, at what point in the game today, what was the? I guess not even at what point. What was the most concerned that you got? Was there a point where you went, you know what? In my heart of hearts, I genuinely believe the Chiefs are not going to win this football game.
Well, I think I had a very prophetic moment there with 10:24 left in the game, and the Chiefs are down 29-20. Said, the Chiefs have to get 2 scores and a Cleveland Browns stop.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did that happen, but it was like 13 minutes later they had the lead. So there was literally only about 30 seconds, I think, where you could possibly say, okay, well, the Chiefs are not in this one. They always seem like they were right there, but then they fall behind by 9. One play later, it's a one-score game again. 4 plays later, they got the football and they're in the red zone.
Yeah.
I mean, the game just literally turned on a dime. And that's all it took were 5 plays to go from Cleveland having this thing in control to suddenly it was completely out of their control and they were on their heels.
What do you let's split the game in half then, because I mean the first half at halftime it was 22-10, which is not what I expected to see coming into that game, and you know the Chiefs offense was fine. They settled for that field goal that they should have gone for, and you know the Browns were making plays on the offensive side for themselves. Whenever you got to halftime, what did you think about the effort you had seen? How would you have explained it in that moment, the version of the Chiefs we got for the first 30 minutes?
Yeah, it was completely out of character because certainly everything that we've seen from the Chiefs under Andy Reid is that they just don't come out in week 1 unprepared. And they certainly don't come into week 1 with another team that's got them by the tail.
Yeah.
And, you know, and frankly, I mean, everything that the Browns did offensively was working. And you could certainly, in retrospect, maybe look back at it and say, you know what, it was a little bit of the Chiefs having to deal without 3 starters and trying to just find their way through it a little bit and getting their rhythm. But Cleveland came out, give them credit, they came out with a fantastic game plan that was designed to really put the Chiefs on their heels. They executed it splendidly and got some pretty good defensive play as well. I mean, you hold the Chiefs 10 points in the first half, you got to feel pretty good about yourself as Cleveland. But at the same time, and maybe it's just because having seen this team, having seen Patrick Mahomes as many times as I have, I don't think the Chiefs are out of it at 22-10. I mean, that's just not how it is. Yeah. The Chiefs are never out of any game. So, yeah, it just seems very out of character because normally, especially week 1, the first month of the season, all these things, it's not an Andy Reid team to get out-coached. Yeah. And they were out-coached in that first half.
Because there was also some weird things. Again, Stefanski was aggressive, which I loved. Andy Reid was super conservative at the end of that first drive. They had the sort of trick play that looked like it was about to start with Travis Kelce taking the snap, and then they had a false start, and then after that they burned a timeout, and that was early third quarter in the second half there, I know, but like you have that, you had the weird underhand toss to Mike Rimmers in the red zone, which, you know, I'll admit, we all love the fun trick play when it works, and then we ask the name in the post-game press conference, and whenever it's an underhand pass to Mike Rimmers that loses a couple yards, we all crush it on Twitter. I understand the dichotomy of that, but there were just some of those weird choices. Like you said, it's just so strange to see because not only is Andy Reid never unprepared or does this team look unprepared to start a season or even just out-coached by a really good effort, they never just even look out of sync, which it felt like they did for so much of that.
Well, normally it feels like they were talking about in the beginning of the season, oh, hey, look, here's some new wrinkles that Andy Reid put into the offense that nobody's going to be able to figure out for the next 4 months. And, yeah, you know, here we are, you know, you see Tyreek Hill get the ball in the backfield, and the offensive line, which, you know, probably deserves a little bit of the blame for maybe the offense not firing all cylinders. There was a decision, not necessarily a collective decision. The decision was made not to block Jadeveon Clowney, and he destroys Tyreek Hill in the backfield.
Right.
That's not normally what happens. You know, that's certainly out of character for an Andy Reid team. For, you know, a place like this to just get completely blown up. So, yeah, I mean, I did not think that the offense was anywhere close to firing on all cylinders early. I mean, Mahomes looked a little bit not himself, and I think a lot of that still has to go back to the offense is finding its footing. I mean, the offensive line, they've got some things to figure out. The offensive line had some good moments, but they were not perfect today. And I think they certainly, you know, deserve a little bit of the blame for maybe some of the misfires in the first half.
Let's talk about the offensive line some then, because I'll kind of give you what I'm thinking, and you know, you can always you feel very welcome to correct me anywhere that you think I should be corrected. But it was kind of interesting because there were several plays where Mahomes got hit. There's the untimely sack and all sorts of things. But like there was the one sack where ultimately it seemed like Mahomes sort of walked into the guy that Lucas Niang was blocking at the time. I can't remember which of their various aliens it was who was rushing the quarterback. And then Romo kind of points out, you know what? It looks like Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes for the first time in a million years were not on the same page, and Kelce broke a different way, and that sack might have kind of been on Travis Kelce. You have the time where Mahomes gets sandwiched, where you look at that and you say, you know what? Niang and Brown both ran their guy back kind of around the back of the pocket where it seemed like they were trying to put him, and Mahomes may have drifted back a little too far, something we've talked about ad nauseum. I think there was another one somewhere in there that was questionable as to where the blame really lied. It wasn't a dominant performance by the offensive line. That's totally fair, but ultimately it felt like a good but flawed one of a unit that was playing together for the first time through my eyes. Did that track for you, especially being able to basically kind of watch the all 22 in real time?
Yeah, and maybe this is a compliment to a degree, but it kind of looked like an all-star game out there where, it's a really good quarterback who probably has a really good offensive line, but they haven't played together before. And to a degree, that's true. I mean, yeah, they've got all these reps in training camp, and they've got some preseason games. But remember, training camp speed isn't even preseason game speed. Mm-hmm. Preseason game speed isn't week one speed. Mm-hmm. And this was the first time that this offensive line was going up against an actual starting defensive line in this league. The defensive lines that they faced in the preseason were all, guys sitting out, not starting. This is the best thing that they've seen so far. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think you're gonna see miscommunications like that. You're going to see, as Mahomes kind of figures out where is it that Orlando Brown and Lucas Niang are comfortable walking guys around him. Mm-hmm. Where are going to be the sweet spots in the pocket that he can step up to? He's got to learn that because all these guys have different strengths and weaknesses. And he's going to learn that, and those guys are going to learn what Patrick likes and where they need to lead guys and everything. So that's going to happen. And yeah, I mean, even with Mahomes and Kelsey and Hill and all these other guys, not everything's going to be perfect every single time. Mm-hmm. And you saw it today. I mean, maybe that was just a little bit of week one early season jitters getting out of the way because there's more than a few passes. I mean, Mahomes, he had the underthrow to Demarcus Robinson that, probably could have gone for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. Mahomes even mentioned in the postgame, that he had a play that if he'd waited a little bit longer, that he had McCole Hardman opening up. Maybe that goes for a touchdown. I didn't think that anybody was particularly 100% sharp today. Mm-hmm. I mean, some guys played really well at times, but there were mistakes across the board. And maybe we should just expect that as a note for the future going forward, that when guys either don't play in the preseason or even in the Chiefs when they did play a lot in the preseason, and you've got 16 days between preseason games in week one, things are always going to be sharp.
And like you said, the number of reps against actual speed competition is really been extremely limited or literally zero, depending on what you want to call real speed. So I think that makes a lot of sense. But defensively, I mean, it sounded like leading up to kickoff, most people were thinking that Tyrann Mathieu would at least play some. Andy Reid says after the game, that he thought it was the right move, presumably because he hadn't played football or practiced or done anything in 2 weeks. Obviously, he has an incredibly large role on this defense, and we can talk about Frank Clark and Willie Gay on some level too if you want. But how much of the defensive struggles, particularly in that first half, do you attribute to not having Tyrann Mathieu out there? Do you think that a better second half points to them figuring it out without him? How much of it is that speed, that lack of speed in the rust or whatever that may come from any week one matchup? How do you kind of split the difference there in terms of how much of the struggles were because they didn't have Mathieu and how much could have been attributed to something else?
I've got to probably put a lot of it on the absence of Mathieu, and I think that just goes to just further underscore how valuable that guy is to this team, not just as a player on the field, but as a leader as well. And, they had him on the sideline, but that's not the same thing. You got to be on the field to be the true leader. And I think you saw a little bit. There were some miscommunications at times. There were probably some breakdowns, especially in run defense that, looked a little bit rough at times. That, hey, could Tyrann Mathieu have fixed those? Maybe not. Maybe he gets them improved a little bit faster. Maybe he's seeing some things out there with his experience that other guys would not have seen. There's a lot that can go into it. But the other part of it is just, Tyrann Mathieu's a really good football player. And the things that Steve Spagnuolo can do with him, I think you just saw how, multi-dimensional that the Chiefs defense can be when you have Tyrann Mathieu and how that changes when he's not out there. Yeah. He's just that much of a chess piece that he changes the complexity of that defense. And I think it speaks to just, how they kind of came together there in the second half, and especially in the fourth quarter, that they do have other guys who can step up. They do have other leaders. Chris Jones is definitely one of those guys. And just as Patrick Mahomes is a, hey, guys, jump on my back, I'll take you where we need to go kind of guy, Chris Jones is one of those guys too.
Yeah.
And I think you saw, that guy was more responsible for the defense in the second half than I think probably anybody else out there. But you're right. How significant is Tyrann Mathieu? I made a joke on Twitter, and I think it's half true. You should probably think about, retroactively giving Tyrann Mathieu a Defensive Player of the Year award. Because the Chiefs in the first half, how they look without Tyrann Mathieu, I don't think there's anybody more important in the league to their defense than that guy.
Interesting. I wanted to ask you about the linebackers also before we let you go here in a little bit, but because I feel like I'm in danger of sounding like a hater or a wet blanket, and I'm going to do the thing where I run to take by you again, and then you can tell me why I'm wrong. You told me the Chiefs were going to draft Nick Bolton, and I laughed at you, and then I was wrong. You've, Mizzou guy, you've got the Nick Bolton love. I can feel it. I can feel it from over the phone. I think he obviously had some really nice reps and some good moments tonight. He was around the ball plenty. I saw you had a stat about tackles in a debut and everything for a Chiefs player, and he's making some waves in there as well. I also, feel like we could point at a couple of plays here and there for Anthony Hitchens or Ben Neiman where they did something nice. And also, there were stretches of the game where it felt like the linebackers just as a unit got completely washed out of the game. Not that that's on any of them individually at all. Might not have even been on them all the time because I'm not sure how often that defensive line was actually keeping blocks off of their linebackers. Seemed like at least plenty often the Browns offensive line was getting to the second level. How do you gauge the debut for Bolton, the linebacking group in general, what it may or may not look like, assuming Willie Gay comes back, hopefully in 3-ish weeks, if not sooner than that? What do you think about that unit, and then specifically the debut there for Bolton?
Yeah, I think there was a lot put on the linebacker group today, and a big part of that is because I think there was more put on this linebacker group because of the absence of Tyrann Mathieu than there would have been otherwise, because the Chiefs teams will spend most of their game in a 4-3 base. And normally, they're using a lot of substitution packages, but that's because they've got Mathieu as a safety.
Yeah. And
they can go with a lot of 3 safety looks, and you just did not see that today. Most of the time, it seemed like they did have 3 linebackers out there, and that certainly seemed to be in a response of wanting to get bigger for going up against that Browns run game and trying to keep Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in check. So they were certainly asking more out of their linebackers today than they have done in the past. I can't, dry you out as a wet blanket because Nick Bolton had I think a really good game tackling.
Yep.
And that's where I would probably give him an A+ as far as tackling goes.
Absolutely.
Everything else, yeah, it's probably a mixed grade because, there certainly seemed like a few times that maybe he got washed out a little bit. Maybe he over-pursued. There was certainly, early in the game when the Browns were throwing to their tight ends a lot, it looked like there was a couple of times that Bolton probably had responsibility for the tight end, but he bit on the play action. Certainly had that on a throw. I think it was the Nick Chubb that, just kind of blew right past him and let him go out into the flat for a catch. Some of the pursuit and some of the run fits, probably not great for Bolton, so he's probably not going to grade out really well there. But, that's teachable.
Yeah.
And certainly with his football IQ, he's going to learn that.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear. You can't teach anybody to tackle, certainly not in the NFL. So the fact that he got that down and some of the nice moves that you saw him make today and getting some hits and getting guys down, that's all good. The other stuff he's going to learn. But you're right. I don't know if the game was as good as maybe the stat sheet looked. But I still think the Chiefs probably helped him win today more than he did not help them.
Yeah, 100%. I'm great with all of that. I think people should be excited for all of those things. I just saw a small handful of tweets that made him Patrick Willis in his prime, prime Luke Kuechly, that I just don't think is necessarily fair to put on him right now. And it makes me feel better hearing you say that because I feel less alone, Matt. I feel less alone on an island.
No, yeah, I have to completely agree with your analysis.
Wow.
I think he looked like I said, in the tackling areas, I thought that was really high, but everything else, he's got some areas to learn, and there were some down, probably some downgrades today. But the linebacker group as a whole, I mean, I think they generally graded out fairly well. I mean, I probably need to watch it again and look specifically at a few snaps here and there. But hey, Ben Neiman makes a timely, fumble recovery. Anthony Hitchens was a little dinged up, but seemed like he was generally where he needed to be. Didn't see any necessarily huge glaring errors. And like I said, the stuff with Bolton, I think, is fixable.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And then on that note, then we can let you go, Matt. Thank you very much for making some time for us here tonight. I look forward to talking to you even later in the evening next week. I don't know if you're a coffee guy. Are you a coffee or energy drink of any sort? I could feel like you might just be like a green tea fella. I really don't know.
I'm not a green tea. I'm a black tea, I guess, kind of guy.
Okay.
So right now I have had maybe 3 glasses of lemonade, and I guess I'm on my 3rd glass of iced tea. So
I love lemonade and iced tea. It traditionally isn't caffeinated, though, and I was kind of wondering if you had a caffeine beverage of choice that's going to get you through. But honestly, sometimes just a nice little tart lemonade, it'll wake you right up. It's an underrated late night drink.
Well, my caffeine drink of choice is Dr. Pepper. But there's no Dr. Pepper here in the Kansas City Chiefs press box because, brand sponsors.
You got to smuggle yours, and next you got to get like a Camelback of Dr. Pepper next home game. And
but sugar-free iced tea is probably better for me anyway.
That's almost certainly true. You can follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Derrick, which you're probably already doing, but if you're not, what are you waiting for? And then you can read, of course, ChiefsDigest.com for all of Matt's great work there. And he'll tweet it all out, so it's easy to find. But ChiefsDigest.com, at Matt Derrick on Twitter. If you want to go buy At Last, the book is still available, TriumphBooks.com/ChiefsWin. A book about the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, which is something that I think we can all appreciate. So there's even another way you can support all of Matt's great work. And if you see him in public, buy him a nice unsweetened iced tea. Thank you, Matt.
There you go, Josh. Take care. Thanks a lot. I will never forget you.
Which is your greatest fear. That's Matt Derrick of all the things that I told you about just a second ago. This is the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. It's presented by Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman. Whenever we come back, we're going to hear from Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski and begin to wrap things up so we can get you at least most of the third and all of the fourth quarter, as right now the Rams are pretty well putting it to the Bears. It's 20-7 in favor of the Rams right now. A couple big plays for LA. If you want to get to that game, you can do so over on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM. And if you missed any of the postgame show, we'll have it up on our various podcast feeds in some different places at 810WHB.com and in the 810 mobile app. So we'll handle that later on this evening as well. In the meantime, we'll take a break. I'm Joshua Brisco. More Chiefs postgame whenever we come back.
You're listening to exclusive post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Presented by the Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman.
WHB Kansas City.
Your money management is now manageable. With an account from Central Bank, you'll have all the tools and technology you need to move, manage, and maximize your money the way you want, when you want. And you have the perk of local branches right in your community when you need some one-on-one time. Because we do banking better. Open your account online or in person at any of our convenient locations. Central Bank. Strong roots. Endless possibilities. Member FDIC.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Crown Sports Auction, the Midwest leader in game-used memorabilia. Consign with the Kansas City Pros. Register at crownsportsauction.com. It's free. Call for free appraisals 913-961-0929. 913-961-0929.
If you're looking for a new vehicle, you need to check out Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia. They've got a large selection, including the redesigned 2021 Kia Sorento with an upscale new interior, the 22 Telluride, which is one of the best values on the market, or the first ever 2022 Carnival. Plus, all new Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Visit OlatheKia.com to find the Kia you're looking for, with incredible incentives and dealer discounts. Robert Brogdon's Olathe Kia, just a short drive from I-35. Warranty is limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Make your holidays even better with a trip to watch Kansas City take on Denver. The Missouri Lottery, Hy-Vee, and Sports Radio 810 WHB want to send you and a guest to Denver to watch Kansas City take on the Broncos. Visit a participating Hy-Vee grocery and gas location through October for your chance to register. Purchase a $2 Missouri Lottery Powerball ticket for your chance to win. Remember to play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. And go Chiefs!
Everyone knows Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa sale. Did you know it's also time to save hundreds, even thousands on patio furniture, pool tables, shuffleboard, and more? You can beef up your entertainment area with couches, sectionals, and theater seating now on sale at Family Leisure. Make it a September to remember with special 810 listener pricing at Family Leisure. Spas, basketball goals, play sets, trampolines, everything for family and fun together on sale at Family Leisure. K10 in Ridgeview in Olathe.
913-888-7727. Awesome!
Hear exclusive Chiefs coverage every week from the best in the business. Only on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Trent Green, Adam Schefter, Tim Grunhard, Adam Teicher, Matt Derrick, Adam Kaplan, Jeff Shadia, Nick Leckie, Gary Barnett, Sam Mellinger, Bill Moss, Mark Bowricker, Stan Weber, Sam McDowell, Seth Kaiser, Blair Kirchhoff, Kevin Harlan, Field Yates, Jesse Newell, Cynthia Freeland, and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
He's to the left of Mayfield, who's out of the shotgun. Three receivers right. Mayfield takes the snap. He is hit, and he's taken down by Chris Jones. His second sack of the game, back to the 19-yard line, a loss of 6.
Always love Chris Jones bringing down the quarterback, and his maybe potential little defensive player of the year campaign kicked off today. I don't know that he's going to be able to match Chandler Jones, who put up 5 sacks today. But we could see a Chris Jones 5-sack day. I could see that in the cards somewhere. He had 2 sacks and 3 tackles. 2 of those tackles for losses. I guess those are also just the sacks. But a nice day there for Chris Jones, continuing to help the defense get through some opportune setups. And also, thanks again to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest for joining us last segment. I said it at the beginning, but I'll say it again now. Matt Derrick's brought to you by Bob Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, Rooter, and Electrical. You better buzz Bob. They do electrical stuff now. Now offering electrical services. That's the buzz. Panels, wiring, generators, updating fixtures. They do it all at Bob Hamilton, offering a whole home electrical inspection for just $99. Call 888-4BOB. Remember, Beards, what do I remember? 888-4BOB. Remember.
Is there a 9?
Yeah, it's the 9-1. All right, what's I can't remember the last digit.
7?
No, it's 3. It's 888-4BOB. Remember the 913. Let's go ahead and hear from Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski. Beards, do you want to play our initial audio that we were able to get
sure,
from?
we can do that.
You just were very passionate about me throwing to this and saying, "Here's Kevin Stefanski."
Okay, disappointed.
All right, it was funny. Apparently, the Browns only posted that for a little while before we got the full thing, and that is actually a pretty good summary of where we're at. All right, fair enough. That was funny. I do want to be able to hear the full thing, though. And our opposing coach press conference is brought to you by Metcalf CarStar. If your vehicle gets sacked on the road, take it to Metcalf CarStar, the collision repair experts. They make it convenient and easy to get back on the road. Go to carstar.com and search for Metcalf CarStar. CarStar, relax. They'll take it from here. Kevin Stefanski, however, will take it from here.
Okay, disappointed. Came on the road versus a really good football team, really well-coached football team, as everybody knows, and we didn't come away with a victory. So that's really disappointing. We didn't play our best when it mattered. We didn't coach our best when it mattered. And versus a team like this, you got to play a 60-minute football game. Didn't do that. So, again, disappointed anytime you can't get a win on a road. now we got to turn around, play the 1-0 Houston Texans at our place, and the guys got to have a great week of practice, and that's where our mentality really is going to be moving forward. You got to flush this one very quickly. With that, I'll take any questions.
Nothing wrong with that snap to Gillen.
You know, I just saw it live, Tony. I didn't see the replay, but it didn't look like there was anything wrong with the snap.
Did he say anything to you?
Not to me.
The Ronnie Harrison thing, what did the ref tell you after all that?
Yeah, Marla, I didn't see it yet, so I want to watch it before I comment on it.
Kevin, on that last interception by Baker, did you feel like he had a chance to throw that away?
He felt like it. I mean, Baker gets it. He's he wants to, you know, he wants to win. He wants to make a play there. You know, tip your cap to them. They made a good play.
I think you guys came out so fast on offense, 3 touchdowns in the first 3 drives. What did you think changed it all in the second half? Did they do anything different?
I don't think they did. You know, they're well coached. I mean, Coach Spagnuolo is a great defensive coordinator. I'm sure they made some adjustments, but for us, it felt like some self-inflicted errors. And when we were moving the ball like we were, I expected us to be to really be us, and we weren't in those moments. And again, that's on me first and foremost.
Kevin, you know, Nick Chubb with the fumble. You obviously kept going back to him. How do you think he responded? And also, just I mean, what did you think happened?
I didn't see exactly what happened on the fumble. As you guys know, Nick is diligent. He wants to get back out there and help the team win. We finished -2, I believe, in the turnover margin. You can call it -3 with the punt play there. So you just can't do that and come on the road in Arrowhead Stadium and expect to win.
Kevin, what can you take away from this game in terms of knowing that you played with them for much of the game, played better than them, and then also knowing what it's going to take to finish off a team like that down the road?
Well, Jake, I'd tell you it's a 60-minute game, and you have to play a 60-minute game. You don't get anything for playing a 30-minute game. So mentality-wise, we got beat, got out-coached, got outplayed. Again, great football team over there. Have a lot of respect for them, and now we're turning our attention to Houston.
Could you take us through the decision to not make Riddell active for this game?
Yeah, like I told you guys on Friday, he was 50-50, questionable, and then just didn't feel like he could go.
Do you feel like it's a possibility that he would be ready for week 2?
Yeah, I think it's a possibility.
You didn't feel like he could go, or you didn't feel like
I'd say he worked out before the game and didn't feel like he could go a significant amount, so we felt like it was the right thing to do to keep him inactive, and we had 4 wide receivers up.
Anthony Schwartz, what did you think of his day? Obviously, he made some plays for you at the end in that crunch time drive. Was that just a good defensive play? Should he have caught it?
I'd have to look at it, Nate, to say. I mean, he's a rookie playing in his first game, had some good moments, and I'm sure there's plenty to clean up.
Kevin, you were aggressive in the first half. You went for it twice on 4th down. You went for the 2 after the penalty. Was that a result of just knowing you needed to score a bunch of points?
Yeah, I think that's just how we play. We want to be aggressive. Simple as that.
You can lose a fumble and still win a football game, but you've seen that twice now in 9 months. Does it feel like you have to play a near perfect game?
I would tell you, anytime you go on the road against a really good football team like this team, you got to play clean football. I'm sure the stats probably say you can turn the ball over and still win, but our mentality is we got to have 0 giveaways, and we got to take the ball away on defense, and we just didn't do that today.
But, you know, Mahomes is obviously so tough. Did you feel like you guys were making him work hard until that 75-yarder to Hill?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look at it, Scott, but, you know, again, he made some plays. I know there's plenty that we can clean up.
Jedrick, you know?
I don't know the severity of it. We'll get some tests on it.
Is anybody else? I thought Anthony Walker might have left for...
I think he's okay.
Kevin, what was, I mean, you told us before that you were going to be aggressive, but was that, early on, you went for, single 4th downs, early in the game. Was that just a mentality that you felt you had to do that to come out here?
Yeah, I feel like that's how we play, Nate. I think going back to last year, that shouldn't surprise anybody.
Kevin, Anthony Walker was clearly in the game plan more than Donovan Peoples-Jones. Anthony Schwartz more than Peoples-Jones. Did it just turn out that way?
Yeah, it just turned out that way. No, Donovan's makes huge contributions to our team, our offense in particular, so we're going to be counting on him. So it's just how the game unfolded.
How do you think the offensive line held up without getting out there with Hubbard going in?
Yeah, I thought it was by and large pretty good. I mean, that's a stiff test to go into Arrowhead with the crowd noise, and some of their rushers are pretty darn good. So I think all in all, the guys battled.
Kevin, I know you don't want to give up 33 in big plays, but your defense in a few moments did get off the field when they needed to. So I guess how do you assess the overall game?
I think, Dan, I'd go back to offensively, defensively, special teams. We didn't play good enough. We didn't coach good enough. Not going to get a win when you do that in a really tough place to win.
There is Cleveland Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski speaking to the media after his team took the loss tonight because the Kansas City Chiefs are once again victorious. The Pros and Codes press conference is brought to you by Metcalf CarStar. If your vehicle gets sacked on the road, take it to Metcalf CarStar, the collision repair experts. They make it convenient and easy to get back on the road. Go to carstar.com and search Metcalf CarStar. CarStar, relax, they'll take it from here. A good victory for the Chiefs, because all victories are good victories. Plenty of things to clean up on both sides of the ball, but also plenty of things that are very Chiefs football in a good and fun way. Fully expect Tyrann Mathieu to be back in practice next week and working his way back up for Week 2, hopefully to a full participation in Week 2, but certainly at least in some high-impact scenarios. You'd have to think he'll be out there on the field, and that will certainly make some things defensively a lot easier for the Chiefs. You'll have some learning curves for some of those young players that are still getting their feet under them. But enough defensive plays late in the game from guys like Chris Jones. Really, a caller mentioned this earlier tonight, and I think this is the story of the game. The Chiefs won with their superstars playing like superstars. Chris Jones took over in the second half. Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce took over in the second half. There was not much in way of the role players really leaping to the forefront, but that's on your best days, you should be winning with your superstars, and the Chiefs did it just enough to win 33-29. If you missed any of the show, you can listen to it at the podcast page at 810WHB.com or the 810 mobile app. We'll put it up on the Almost Entirely Sports feed as well. As the Chiefs were victorious, this has been the Chiefs postgame show here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, presented by Missouri Lottery and CBD American Shaman.